It's time for Windows Weekly. Paul Thurrott and Richard Campbell are here. Yes, October is the end of the line for Windows 10, but Paul's got a great way that you can get security updates for a mere 1,000 Bing bucks. We'll explain what Bing bucks are in just a little bit. Also, a live demo of the new smart Amazon Echo. Yes, Alexa Plus is here. All that and more coming up next on Windows Weekly.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Windows Weekly with Paul Thurrott and Richard Campbell, episode 938, recorded Wednesday, June 25th, 2025. When will then be now? It's time for Windows Weekly. Good morning, you dozers and winners, you. Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. Paul Thurrott is upset. He's not happy. He is at thurrott.com. He says, stop shouting. We can all hear you perfectly well thanks to modern technology. Good morning or good afternoon for you, Mr. Thurrott. Hello, Paul. Also with us, Richard Campbell. He is in the morning time because he's out here in British Columbia. Hello, Richard.
Hi.
Good to see you.
A little West Coast time, all is well.
You've been up for a while. You made a delicious breakfast for your brand new granddaughter.
For my granddaughter and her parents, yeah. And it's a little stormy out there today.
Oh,
Clouds
look at that.
Yeah.
Oh, stormy.
Yeah, clouds are rolling through. No rain
pretty.
yet, but we're ready for it.
So pretty. In British Columbia.
Very springtime because, everything is green.
One of the most beautiful
There are
parts
robins
of the country.
nesting in the tree right in front of the in front of the window there.
Oh, that's nice.
For better or worse.
So, I guess we could talk about Windows. I mean, it's up to you guys.
What the heck?
What's up?
Well, we're going to go in a slightly different direction this week, by which I mean backwards in time, because Microsoft has provided more details about this Windows 10 extended security update. Is that the name of the thing? I don't know. Whatever this program is.
The end of life alternative, right? Like they're going to end life, but you don't have to move right away.
Yeah. You don't have to go to Windows 11, but you can't stay here. So we know, look, we've been saying this all along. Yeah, one of the big questions has been, are they going to, extend it out further, like they did previously with Windows 7, Windows XP, et cetera. But every indication so far has been, no, they're not. And then yesterday, I guess, they announced how this extended security program is going to work. Extended Security Updates Program is the official name. And they're not going to extend it past this. So there's some good news, though. We already know businesses are going to pay through the nose and then eventually through other orifices as time goes on because it's going to double each year. And then we knew that consumers would pay $30 for 1 year only if they wanted to get this program. But now they have offered 2 ways that you can get it for free as an individual, to which every business customer of Microsoft went, hey, what now? What happened?
What?
So, whatever. And we knew previously that a couple of weeks ago, I think a month ago, so Microsoft announced that they would support the Microsoft 365 apps, what we call Office, desktop on Windows 10 through October 2028, which is the 3-year deadline for extended support. So, if you are an individual, you're running Windows 10 on your computer, you want to get the support for the additional year without paying $30, there are 2 things you can do. You can redeem, this is so goofy, 1,000 Microsoft reward points if you have those.
That's why I've been using Edge all this time.
It was either that or a $1 gift card to iTunes, but that's one.
Are those Bing points that I've been collecting? Is that what those are?
Yeah. It's whatever's left at this point, right? But the other thing you can do is just use the Microsoft Backup app, which Microsoft has, the Windows Backup app that Microsoft has added retroactively, I guess, to Windows 10, and just back up your PC, right? Syncing all your settings and so forth to the cloud. That way you can sync them back again later when you get a new computer or whatever. Either one will do it. So there's no reason to pay for this. And then I have some tip type stuff at the end of the show where I'm going to discuss this.
Why are they offering this, Paul?
Because, so
Why does God hate us, Paul?
Well, I'm not sure about God, but I can tell you why Microsoft hates you. No, it's Steven Sinofsky discusses this kind of a thing in that book, which is, and I can't remember the term, but basically it's you have this bullet list of things that you're doing, and some of them are just there to prevent people from complaining. Right.
Yep.
And so I think the $30 payment was the final little like, what are you doing? I mean, you're gonna support it anyway. What's the difference? Like you're putting these updates out.
You have to do it for
doesn't
paid
cost
customers.
anything, right?
Yeah.
So this is just that little bone they're going to throw people. It's a way to get around the $30, right? And still keep the date, do what they were going to do before, and not change anything. But
what percentage you think of people will do this?
Well, it's going to be based on how this reveals itself in the operating system, right? Because I don't know that there are a lot of people who are listening to this podcast now and they're rushing to go do one of those two things I just said, right?
Right.
Well, the first thing that we're rushing to do is try to figure out what Microsoft reward points even are.
Yes.
And do I have any? Apparently my display driver's updating right now, so that's fun.
So I got two Win 10 machines here, which, because I like to have my taskbar on the left edge of the screen so I don't waste that horizontal real estate. And one of them is now continuously offering me Windows 11 every time I boot it. It's like, you ready to install? We're ready to go. Let's go. Are you ready? And the other one, nothing. But I'll tell you the difference between them. The one I built never domain joined. It was the last one I built.
Oh.
Even though it's running Pro. The other one, this one, used to be domain joined. And so I've destroyed the domain. The domain doesn't exist anymore.
But it assumes you're an enterprise machine.
Yeah, so it's not going to beg me like that.
Richard, you are an enterprise machine. Let me tell you.
Have you met me? Yeah.
He is, folks. He is.
I'm going to reboot just to hopefully fix it.
My button-down collar, all about the enterprise.
He's just a disembodied voice now.
I'll be right back. Hello, Siri. It's me, Paul.
It's the usual way I think of Paul Thurrott, actually, is a disembodied voice. A slightly grumpy disembodied voice.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there we go.
I mean, and I don't want to either upgrade either one of these machines. I want to rebuild them both.
So this is why Steve Gibson created that little utility called Never 10.
Yeah.
That was for Windows 7, right?
So staying on 7. Yeah. That's a really Steve Gibson thing to do.
So it wouldn't it was a registry key, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
That you just change and it doesn't bug you anymore. Is there one for 10 that will do that?
Oh, I imagine it's around there somewhere.
There's some registry key. Because Microsoft, obviously, there's some way Microsoft has signaled to itself, oh, this one's on a domain, so it's a business machine, so don't bug them.
Don't do that. They'll call IT, and IT will get mad at us.
Yeah. But, the other one must be a home user. They're both pro or they're...
Yeah, they're both pros.
So it's got to be that.
That's the only difference. I always love it when it prompts me to talk to my administrator, and I'm like, dude, I'm the administrator. I have no idea what you're talking about.
I love that. I get that too, because I use that little hack to authenticate that went to a fake server, which made it assume, maybe that's a trick for not having to worry about Windows 11. All right, should we let Paul in? All right, let's let him in.
What's that guy know?
We've just been talking about the fact that Richard has two Windows 10 machines that are one of which is already bugging him for the upgrade.
Yep.
Yeah, and the other one not at all.
Well, are they both qualified to upgrade for free or whatever?
That's a great point. This old one is like a Series 6 processor, so it might not be qualified.
That might be
but it also is an old domain join machine from the old network in the old house, and the other one is much newer. It's a 13. So
I only have one machine on 10, which is just for testing purposes, and I could upgrade it, and I guess maybe I will eventually, but I kind of want to just leave it there to.
Yeah, you should be the guinea pig.
Do you keep a 7 around just for fun?
No, not anymore.
You can always call Steve. You'll have a few waiting for you.
Well, I'm pretty sure what I'm going to do is build out an AMD machine full bore and make that my coding and dev work machine, and then take the 13 chipset that's running that machine right now and make it into this Restream machine.
Okay.
What I've been thinking, and I know we've been talking a little bit about this, Richard, increasingly is that I think many people are going to want a machine at home that can run local AI models.
Yep.
Good enough to be a personal agent, because with MCP and everything, if you could run that locally, you wouldn't have to worry about OpenAI sucking up all your information.
I see a bunch of these, especially in the home automation spaces, all kinds of groups now offering
This is
an Olama host.
This is more of a thing, than it used to be.
But I don't think, first of all, the current open weight models aren't probably robust enough.
Yeah.
The big issue maybe is the number of tokens, right? So
you can test this. I mean, there are.
Well, I haven't run Olama on almost every machine.
Yeah,
right
there's
now.
a variety of ways you can do this, but Visual Studio Code, for example, has an AI Studio, whatever it's called. That you can, an extension, and then you can just
you can use a local AI. You don't have to put
just
an
try
API
different
key
models, and you can interact with it like as a chatbot, just locally. And I've done this kind of testing from time to time. I can see why I didn't use this monitor before. It's like flashing. It's like flashing on and off.
Just because you plug it in doesn't mean you can see it.
Yeah, just sitting there. I wonder why there's so much dust on this thing. Oh, right,
because it sucks.
Anyway, but yeah, I mean, but this is something. It's Apple talked about this at WWDC. We're going to talk about a Chromebook that has local AI capabilities with a MediaTek processor. Copilot Plus PC is this. If you have a big, a gaming PC workstation, whatever, with a good GPU, a lot of choices there. Although, it'd be nice if Microsoft would actually support us.
What's kind of unknown though is how much horsepower I'm going to need, how big a model I'm going to need, how many tokens it can handle, and how much RAM and GPU and CPU that is going to require. Because I don't want to buy something today and then say, oh, it's not enough for next year.
That's that's always
I think that's basically avoidable this new in the cycle.
I guess.
A couple of years ago, I guess Intel came out with the Meteor Lake first gen Intel Core Ultra AI PC. I mean, in the same sense that like a Model A is a car,
right?
Technically, it was out of date really quick. So I don't know. I mean, the popularity of the Mac, which doesn't have as powerful NPUs as we see in the Copilot Plus PC space, is a good sign because.
Well, but it also has access to unified memory, which gives it a much larger memory space. So that's better.
Right. But I mean, developers will target that kind of NPU, and that might benefit all of us ultimately, right? So that's good. And we see it on phones.
It doesn't need to be a Mac because it's going to be a server. It's not going to be
I mean,
a desktop
just,
machine.
Just the existence
I agree.
of that
if a Mac's the best thing, I just, I was going to get that framework desktop.
Leo, I want to be super clear about this. Not recommending a Mac. What I'm saying is the existence of it and the popularity of it with developers, will drive more model makers to hit that kind of that level of NPU. That's all.
Because I would love a local personal assistant that could be a home assistant as well. That could turn on lights and stuff. But also
it's like saying I want a live-in nanny. I don't want them to commute. I want them here all the time.
I want them living.
Yeah.
Yeah, I canceled the framework desktop because I thought, that's probably too soon.
Which one? Oh, the desktop.
I was going to get that desktop that had 128 gigs of RAM and it had the AMD AI focused.
Those are actually really good.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have canceled it. Yeah. I just thought.
Those are really good. Those are probably the best ones now because they have. It's an APU, but it's a powerful integrated graphic. The best chips that you can get, and then they have, if not the best, one of the best NPUs as well in a computer, like in a personal computer.
I wonder. I canceled it, so it means it's back. I'm back in the
back of the queue.
Back of the queue again. Yeah. I wonder where they are right now.
What's your 2028 looking like?
It's really cute and it's small.
Yeah.
So it fits in. You could put it in your wire closet, right?
Yeah, I'm not opposed to you canceling that just because the target's moving so quickly.
That's why I kind of did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is modular too. I mean, the point of this is you'll be able to upgrade this later.
Well,
swap the chipset out.
It's not going to, yes, ships Q3 now. Well, I was only in Q2, so I would have been getting it around now. So that's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
But then it's expensive when you add up, that's $2,000 for the base 128 gig model.
Yikes. It's cute though, isn't it?
It's so cute. Now, you don't need a lot of storage for AI, or do you? A terabyte would be enough.
Wow.
Right?
I mean, per drive, maybe. I don't
know. And I would just get it with Linux. I would just do a Linux box, right? Yeah. Now we're up to $2,000.
It is expensive.
But you think that would be at least today?
I would say today, yes. I mean, well, the alternative would be a workstation/gaming class PC with a really
big
beefy NVIDIA GPU. And yeah, but
that's going to be much more expensive.
Well, yeah, maybe. I mean, it's going to be a lot louder. It's going to consume a lot more electricity. Do you have owned a PC yet that has 2 power cables? That kind of a thing.
And one of them melted.
Yeah.
Anthony Nielsen has spec'd out exactly what I want. Let me see here. For a mere $8,000. Thank you, Anthony. Spending my money. Oh, that's just the card. That's the Blackwell.
How much is that thing?
It's 8,000.
8,000? Wow. You mean pesos?
Oh, no. RTX 6000. Yeah, sure.
But that, I mean,
all these things have like 96 gigs of RAM in them.
Can Russell get me? He has got one lying around. It's 4,000 tops. That's pretty good.
I mean, it's okay.
The Copilot Plus PCs are around 100 tops or less.
They're less than
45.
40 to 50. Yeah.
Oh, it's got Tensor cores. Oh, this thing is pretty.
It's the top of the line workstation.
96 gigs of GPU.
What kind of RAM does this take? Oh, GDR7. Jeez Louise.
Yeah.
This is like it's like that Mission Impossible movie. He was like, I want the next gen Pentium AI chip, and you're like, that sounded out of date the second he said it. But it's like you have like you're describing a kind of memory I didn't even know existed, but I know how numbers work, so it's like the next one.
And would a CPU matter on if you had something like this? You'd still want to get that AMD, right?
Yeah, I would personally, but. Yeah, I would always go AMD at this point over Intel. I mean, I can't speak.
Intel, basically, it's with the last person in the office turn out the lights. It's not. Yeah, I mean, it's not going well.
Yeah. I mean, look. Will they get it right eventually? Yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe pigs will fly too. I don't know. I don't trust it right now personally. But
yeah. 600 watt power consumption. That's not
for the video card.
Yeah, just for the video card.
Yeah, that's amazing. The rest of the system, 58 watts.
Yeah,
I'm just thinking about the gauge on the power wires going to it.
Yeah, it's like the thing you put your dryer on. You know, like it's one of those 3-prong plugs to the big circular.
You got an RV. I have an RV plug I can put it in.
You know,
what are you getting, a Tesla? No, it's a PC.
600 watts at 12 volts is a lot of amps. Like that is going to catch
you have
fire.
To rewire. Yeah, well, isn't that the problem they've been having with melting power supplies?
Well, melted connectors to the video card because you're trying to cram 50 amps through that freaking wire. Like, good luck.
I bet it plays Call of Duty pretty good though.
Briefly, right up until
briefly,
the smoke alarm goes off. I remember water cooling twinned NVIDIAs. I think they were 6800s and running them hard on a game, probably Half-Life. And turned around to look at the temperature gauge and it was at like 90 degrees centigrade. And I'm like, wow, it's still running. And then it died.
Yep.
And it actually had melted all the seals in the water jet.
So I would have taken one more. I would have been like 90 degrees centigrade. That's got to be a lot of, and then it would have went boom, 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 boom.
Well. But actually it had little stalagmites of melted seal on the motherboard. From slagging that thing.
So probably it's worth waiting a little bit because this.
I mean, it's always worth waiting, but it depends on what you need now.
And right now the models aren't, I think, there for me to have a personal assistant.
This is so this will come up here and there throughout the show. These things keep improving and they keep getting smaller and you keep getting smaller models that can do the work of bigger models, that kind of thing. Right. And so later on, I don't know where it is in here somewhere.
Yeah, it's such an incentive to wait because the targets are moving so quickly right now.
Yep. Local AI is still very kind of new, even for developers. I mean, and because part of the reason is because what do you use it for? Like why would you bother targeting something that nobody has?
In most cases, it's cheaper to just buy a subscription, even a $200 subscription.
Exactly. And just get your API key and exactly. That's what everyone
At this point, that's probably the right thing to do.
No, but eventually this stuff will catch up. It'll catch up. It'll be good enough, I think is the way to put it. And for specific kind of task-based workloads, right? And that's, again, we'll talk about this, but this is as these models improve, they can distill them down. They can what's the term? When you train them on a particular set of data, it is called whatever it is. Anyway, you have something that's very specific that you want to do. That thing can be smaller, lighter, etc. Assuming the model is trained correctly or made correctly. What is it you want to do? What do you want this? This is for a general purpose. I don't want to use
a little
ChatGPT.
friend.
Yeah.
I want a little plastic friend.
Yeah.
It's a baseball bat, man. Say hello to my little friend.
I originally studied genetics just to make friends, but now I don't have to. I can stay with software.
Well, we're rapidly getting there. I have a little chess set over here on my coffee table that I turn it on, and it can whoop my ass. And it has lights to tell it where it's moving. So I move my piece, and then it goes, okay, and lights up where it wants its piece. Nice. And that's my little chess playing friend. Now, it's not as good as talking to a human being, but it plays a hell of a lot better.
I don't know what your friends are like. Mine can be a little tedious. So honestly, this could be okay.
Especially my chess playing friends.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I want
real judgy. Really, that's your
yeah. Oh, that's is that your final move or okay?
I mean, sure you don't want to take that back?
Did your kid phone this one in for you? What's going on?
So I think I think the house should be sentient.
Yeah,
that seems like it.
Yeah, I would.
Trouble.
Well, let's start with the humans, but okay.
Yeah.
I want a sentient house that I can talk to.
Yeah.
Ask questions of. We got Alexa Plus the other day.
Oh, you did?
For the life of me, I don't know. I don't even know how to. It's not even as good as ChatGPT. It's got.
Well, how could it be? I mean,
right.
These guys were rubbing two sticks together over in the corner for 3 months. I don't know. What did you think they were going to do? I don't know. This is like
that's the idea. Is that you have?
What did you think was going to happen?
An Echo in every room, and you talk to it, and it does stuff. Books, airplane tickets, and
yep.
Guess
we're going to get there. We're going to get there.
Now, were we talking about the end of life of Windows 10?
I don't know.
Let's get back to that because Wojo had a great question. If I don't have 100 Microsoft bucks, do I have to pay $30? Is that still?
No, you can back up your computer with Windows Backup.
Oh, you said that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't get how that works. You back it up.
I don't know either. That's what I'm saying. I need to see the UI, but if you Windows 10 or 11 today, just Windows search backup, it will come. Windows Backup, it will come up. I assume you have to do a full backup. I always leave OneDrive out of that equation because I don't use that feature. Windows really does not like that. But yeah, just get a backup of your. It's really a sync. It's sort of a settings state sync, whatever you want to call it, up in OneDrive, and that's supposed to do it. And I don't know when that starts or what notification you get that you did it or whatever. But as long as you're using that, you should be good. But again, I'm going to talk a little bit. Well, I'm going to talk around this, I guess is the way to say it.
I just went to look for Windows Backup. Like, what would you find if you searched on Windows Backup? And it says, your Windows PC comes the one-stop backup solution, Windows Backup, which will help you back up a lot of things. But for Windows 10, it'll no longer be supported as of October 2025.
Oh, that's curious. So you have to wait, I guess. I mean, it was only recently added to Windows 10, but and they've been updating it on 11 to support this whole thing because they want people to use this as a sort of LapLink-like migration tool, right? But through the cloud to get people from 10 to 11, basically.
And it does look like it backs up to OneDrive, so that's nice.
Yeah, it's also not really a backup, but you know what? It's fine. Let's not quibble.
But I do feel like this whole thing, they're not getting enough acceptance rate for migrating off of Windows 10, so they're trying to incentivize.
Yeah. I mean, that's the cynical way to put it, or as I would say, the correct way. But yes, that is, that's a fact. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it's just but I appreciate also your Sinofskyism of just take away things for them to complain about. It's like we offered you a free option.
Yep. Yeah, because sometimes when you're doing something like this, you can see the complaint coming. And you're like, let's just take that one away. Let's just get rid of, just one less excuse. I don't think it's going to change much, frankly, but
no. And the real issue here is actually upgrading a machine is still a horrible experience, right? It's still very difficult and fraught.
Yeah. Yeah. You're much better off with a new computer.
Yeah.
Even a clean install on the old computer if you can stand it.
Always. Well, whenever I have a friend saying, I'm ready to get a new computer, this one sucks. It's like, well, now that you're ready to do that, let's pave the old one and see what a fresh install looks like on it, because it probably sucks a lot less.
Yep. A lot of these things are like ripping off a Band-Aid. You don't want to do it. You don't want to do it. You don't want to do it. And when you finally do it, you're like, oh, why didn't I do this earlier? Switching cable providers, switching cellular carriers, whatever.
Oh, no, but it's definitely like you had to whack yourself in the hammer for a day to get it done.
Well, we all
on the
have.
outside, it's great. Nobody likes migrating software. They just like having been migrated.
Listen, if somehow I could get paid for all of the little updates and upgrades and whatever I do, I would be rich. But this is just something that happens. It's like part of my career, I guess. But
yeah,
I can tell you, it's gotten a lot better. I think the big problem for most people, individuals here, I'm not talking about admins. Obviously, you have ways to automate this and so forth. But it is a lot better. But most people have that one memory of the time it went horribly wrong.
Oh yeah,
and
it's a hard thing. Persists.
Remember when you touched the stove and it burned your hand and you had like the bandage on your hand for like 6 months? It's not like that now. Trust me. Touch it. Good luck. Getting people to like, oh, okay. So it is better. Yeah, I'm not saying it's perfect. And going back, older computer that you've been using for a long time, right? Running Windows 10 with all kinds of software installed and configurations, whatever. There's definitely things you're going to miss still to this day, depending on how you use the computer, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure who the market is here we're talking about, right? I mean, the people who are listening to the show who are technical enough would have done this before if they wanted to. If they're on Windows 10 now, there's probably a good reason. If they wanted to go to 11, they could. And then there's this market of people who just don't know and don't care. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what incentive you're going to give those people other than they wake up one day and just did it. I don't know.
Well, and I just don't think they're going to, because it's not like Windows 10 bursts into flame in October 2025. They're just going to.
No, that's October 2026. But yeah, it's yeah. I don't know. It's
We will talk about the Insider Program when we return. You're watching Windows Weekly with Paul Thurrott and Richard Campbell. This episode brought to you by our good friends at ThreatLocker. Actually, I'm really excited. We're trying to figure out if we can go to Zero Trust World this year in Florida. Actually, it's next year, isn't it? It's March. But I really want to go. These guys have got Zero Trust nailed. And that's important because the world is not getting any safer. Ransomware harming businesses worldwide. How do they get in? Phishing emails, infected downloads, malicious websites, RDP exploits. Don't be the next victim. ThreatLocker's Zero Trust platform does it right. Let me explain. I guess I can explain in 3 words what Zero Trust is. Okay, make it 4. It's a proactive, not reactive, security measure. Proactive, deny by default. That's really the 3 words. Deny by default approach. Basically, you block every action unless it's explicitly authorized, which has a miracle effect of protecting you from not only known threats, but completely unknown threats. And that's 0 days of the real problem nowadays, right? You have no way to prepare for these. It's one of the reasons ThreatLocker is trusted by companies that just can't go down. JetBlue, for instance, one of them. They can't afford a 10-minute loss, let alone days lost to ransomware. Infrastructure plays, same thing. Port of Vancouver uses ThreatLocker because they cannot stop. ThreatLocker shields you from 0-day exploits and supply chain attacks, all the most nasty things, while providing complete audit trails from compliance. So it's amazing because everybody, because it's denied by default, which actions are authorized and who did what when. It's all logged. ThreatLocker's innovative, they call it ring fencing technology. It isolates critical applications from weaponization because the bad guys just can't get to them. It stops ransomware cold. It also, and this is, I think, really important, limits lateral movement within your network. There was a story a couple of months ago about a ransomware gang that got in. They were thwarted by the various rules and so forth. So they were able to move around in the network. And this is what you really don't want them to do. And they found a security camera that was running Linux, which had just enough memory for them to inject their ransomware, and the rest is history, right? You can't allow people to move around in your network. It's just not safe. ThreatLocker stops it. It works everywhere, all industries. They support Mac environments as well as PCs. So really any network, any heterogeneous setup. They provide 24/7 US-based support. So they're smart, good people if you have any questions. And they enable, because of this logging, comprehensive visibility and control. Talk about infrastructure place. The IT director for the city of Champaign, Illinois, again, another place, mission critical, can't go down. His name is Mark Tolson. He said this, quote, ThreatLocker provides that extra key to block anomalies that nothing else can do. If bad actors got in and tried to execute something, I take comfort in knowing ThreatLocker will stop that. Whew. It's good stuff. Stop worrying about cyber threats. Get unprecedented protection quickly, easily, and I might add, check the prices very cost effectively with ThreatLocker. Visit threatlocker.com/twit. You can get a free 30-day trial there and learn more about how ThreatLocker can help mitigate unknown threats and ensure compliance. That's threatlocker.com/twit. ThreatLocker. We thank him so much for supporting Windows Weekly. All right. Are you ready to talk Windows Insiders, Mr. T?
Sure.
Let's do it.
So there have been, three something, five, I don't know, some number of Windows Insider builds since the last time we talked. A big one to me happened just the other day, this week. I always like, what day is it? Oh, yeah, Wednesday, the day we always do this show.
Yeah, the way we always do this. Came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I know.
Wow, Wednesday already?
Just slapped me right in the face. So, yes, dev and beta are back on the same new features, two big ones. The biggest of the two is a new homepage for Recall. I don't know why I said it that way. Recall has had kind of a lot of the AI stuff Microsoft's doing. The same way that they moved the Copilot button around, change the app 8 times. They're finding their way. The initial UI and actually the overall experience of Recall was pretty lousy for a long time. Now it's going to have kind of a homepage with pleasant looking, kind of like the new Copilot is kind of pleasant looking. Even if you don't like Copilot, it's kind of a nice UI with a nicer way to browse your snapshots. You can browse by app, which is actually a pretty good idea. I think a lot of times, if you think about what this is for, how people would use it, it's typically someone saying, I was doing something and I can't find it, that kind of thing. And a lot of times they know what the app was. They're like, I was using a browser. I was working in Word or whatever it might be. And so they're going to give you a way to do that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's fine for the two people that use this thing. And then this one is one of those things when you hear the name, you're like, what? Hardware indicators are the things where there's a kind of an overlay pop-up on the screen for like brightness, volume, airplane mode, virtual desktops, that kind of thing. Windows 10, they were up in the upper left corner of the screen. In Windows 11, they're in the lower right. There's going to be an interface and settings where you can determine where that thing goes. So those things. So they can be upper left, which is new, center top, or lower right as they are now. So you can, if you want those somewhere else, they will be somewhere else. So those, who knows? By the fall, certainly they're in dev and beta, like I said. So it's not really clear when those will land. We were just talking about local models, right? So I have a tracker, but yet I have a hard time keeping track of this stuff. So Microsoft at some point over the past 3 months has been talking about, among other things, an agent that will be in Windows 11 for settings. And the idea is that you can use natural language to interact with it and change settings in your computer. This is something they first experimented with the initial release of Copilot for Windows 11. They took it away and they sort of brought it back. But it seems like this is where they're going with it. The only little asterisk here is that this is a small language model that runs on the NPU. It's been optimized for that, so it only works with Copilot Plus PCs. Right. So if you kind of buy into the notion that all PCs will be Copilot Plus PCs,
well, your Copilot Plus PC has 50 tops, and apparently my RTX 6000 has 4,000 tops, but okay, we're all Copilot PCs.
Yeah, but how much of them can you use with Copilot Plus PC? 0 tops. No, I know it's kind of a weird, it's a weird limitation, but sorry.
I declare top discrimination.
It's topless. All right, so Microsoft, so anyway, we knew this feature was coming. It's still coming. It's not out yet, but they are testing it in the Insider program. Apparently, it has its own small language model. I appreciate them calling it that, by the way. Microsoft and other companies have used a variety of names to refer to the same things. I feel like we need clear language. There's enough new language with AI that a lot of it can be confusing, especially to mainstream non-technical
and small
users.
language model is good, right? It encourages you to reduce your expectations.
Yes. I mean, I suppose local language model might be okay, but that's LLM.
It's still LLM. It's not really
Still
going to help.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so small equals local, large equals cloud, I guess is the way we're thinking of this. So the big small one that Microsoft makes is something called Microsoft Phi. It's actually a family of models that run locally. If you have a Copilot Plus PC, you are in fact using Phi behind the scenes to do various Copilot Plus PC features. I'm not sure which those are exactly, but if you think about the text manipulation stuff or the image manipulation stuff you would see in Photos or Paint, at least some of those are running on Phi. Phi was designed as what I'm going to call, God help us all, a traditional small language model. I know. I'm so sorry. Right? What I mean by that is that, Leo was talking about, you have like all these terms like context windows and all this stuff. And excuse the brightness on my face, but I just realized I screwed up an acronym in this article. Basically, what these things were distilled, shrunken down large language models, right? That's all
focused.
They were. Like general a little less focused, yes, but just less. Now they're getting even more focused, right? And so what they're starting to make, and this is what I was sort of alluding to earlier, these kind of task focused small language models. This is kind of key because when I first started testing Recall, and then Click to Do and the other stuff that Microsoft now has on Copilot Plus PCs, there's a really tedious and manual process you have to go through, or had to go through. It's gotten a little bit better, but for updating the models that have to run in the background. So if you might have noticed this, like in Paint, for example, and I think in Photos as well, if you have a Copilot Plus PC, the first time you go to run one of the brand new features, it will actually prompt you to download a model.
Okay.
Typically from the store now, which is maybe the right way to do this. These things can be big, relatively speaking.
Gigabytes, right?
Yeah. Yes. And in the case of Recall, I think there were 3 and now there are 4, and you had to download them and install them one at a time, tediously, manually, go back, try to run it again, say, nope, there's another one. And then you go back and try again. It's a really stupid process. So this is something that is a little concerning to me because the small language model that they made for the settings AI agent, which is called Moo, like MU,
Nice.
which is cute, is a smaller, distilled, and highly focused task-centric take on Microsoft Phi, right? So it's they optimized it so that it's, I want to say, let's say it's 1/10 the size, but for these particular tasks is as fast or faster than Phi would be, while consuming less, electricity and less power and less space and whatever else. So this is kind of Microsoft talking through. We made a new term, a micro language model, right? Perhaps an MML maybe or something. I don't know. But if you think about what Google's done this with Pixel, right? They
call theirs nanos, right? Nano.
Right. There's a nano version that runs on phones, right? That's specifically for that purpose, right? This is a constrained memory environment. The processing power maybe is not as good as you might get on a big desktop, whatever. So I think we're going to see, this is, as Leo was talking through the stuff earlier about local AI and all this, this is what I was thinking about, because we're going to see more and more of this. There's no doubt about it. And I think Microsoft even explaining this was part of a campaign to get us to sort of understand the world is changing and like this is just going to be common, So like we used to download
At some point we're going to talk about model proliferation, right? Like how many of these you need on your machine?
And is it dangerous to have them sitting there waiting for commands? It's like when you have 150 apps on your phone, and you only use like 3 or 4 of them,
right?
But they all have to be updated all the time. So your phone's always churning and doing stuff, right? So there's absolutely no reason to think that language models aren't going to be the same, right? In some ways, you'll just get them because they're part of the operating system. They'll be part of what gets updated all the time. Most Windows users who actually look at this will probably understand the problem where you go to Windows Update, check for updates. You have some things that go really fast, like the security updates, that kind of definitions and so forth. Drivers maybe there'll be that monthly cumulative update. That takes a while. But the worst one of all is the .NET update that comes every month, the .NET framework update that they always do. And I don't know what it is about that thing. It takes a really long time. And I feel like that's how AI models can be. I'm hoping this change will point to a future where that's no longer the case, or we'll have more of them, but they'll.
Yeah, most of the time, .NET framework updates are just patches. They're not new.
Yeah, there's security updates. Yeah, exactly. But there's something about this. It reminds me of like back in the day when early versions of Mac OS X, you would install an update and it would reboot, and it was like it had to rewrite the entire system, like it overwrite every single file. And Android used to do this too.
Yeah.
Windows was, for all the problems we've had, there's been a few, but Windows is typically been better than those systems for doing like Delta updates and kind of figuring that stuff out. The experience with small language models on Copilot Plus PCs to date has not been great, but I think it's because they're just like, just getting it out there. And so I look at this and I think, okay, they're actually starting to, to think a little bit more than just like, let's just not get it out. Let's get it right. And so on the one hand, it's weird to me that you would need something so specific for something like this. But on the other hand, this is the difference between you have to know to launch the settings app.
Yeah.
You have to know to search maybe. Maybe the thing you're searching for does not come up. Or there was that thing before you would say, Copilot, how do I turn on dark mode? And it'd be like, here's how you do it. And you're like, could you just do it?
Just do it.
That kind of thing. Like, I don't actually care what it's called. I don't care what the system calls it.
I wonder if we're not that far from you just loading an MCP for the settings to speak to any LLM that's already on your machine.
There you go. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, sure.
So it's just an interface.
Yep. And it's really just the 21st century version of an Infocom game parser where it's just map what I want to what is there and just figure it out. So we have natural language tools that make that easier, obviously. So on that note, I mean, honestly, I know where to go to look for things in settings or whatever. I'm sure most people listening to this or watching this do as well, but my wife doesn't, and she's super smart, but she just doesn't care. She doesn't know anything about computers. Like, it should just work. And when this stuff started happening a couple of years ago, I was like, are you seriously going to go back to typing? Is that what we're doing? We've spent the last 30 years embracing graphical interfaces and whatever, and now you want us to actually sit there and type? But some people will do that, obviously, but some people will also, you can just talk to it, right? And I think in the Cortana era, because of the lack of capability there, the notion of someone sitting there talking to their computer was silly.
No,
but we're getting used to it.
Voice interfaces have been pretty bad.
Yep.
Up until just recently.
Yeah, now people walk around talking to their phones, right? And so they're kind of used to this. I think it's going to be a thing. So I'm not saying I'm embracing it personally, but I do. I guess I see the need. I at some point. Everything we do right now is so arcane and old-fashioned. We're just used to it, There's going to be these newer, easier ways to do things. So this is a step. It's not the whole trip, but it's a kind of a step in that direction. Okay, what else do we got? It's curious to me, by the way, that's in a small language model that requires a Copilot Plus PC. I kind of assumed this would be a normal thing. So I think it was late last week, there were several builds, like many builds, all came out almost at once. So there's a Canary build that just adds features we've been getting elsewhere in the Insider program, right? The Windows Share improvements we've been talking about, FAQ in settings, the state pill under the taskbar icons, yada, yada, all this stuff. So Canary, some reason not been super interesting, but that's happening. If you are on Canary or want to be on Canary or interested in this, they did release an ISO. I note that only because they don't usually. So those are kind of few and far between. So there is an
ISO of Canary.
Yeah. So you can actually just start from there if you want to just install it, clean. You could do that. It's, I'm not saying do it, but you can do that.
And it's Canary. There's no way back off of Canary.
Yeah, there's the nuke from orbit option from Alien 2.
Rebuild.
Yeah. That's pretty much.
Hope you use your Windows backup.
Well, I hope you use something that actually works. But yes,
nice.
Whatever that might be.
You're going to find out pretty quickly.
That's right. Snipping tool keeps getting updated. This one adds GIF export. I guess it's GIF export for screen recording. So in other words, you have a screen recording that's a video. It's going to be an MP4 file. You can, however many seconds, if you just want something small, that would be much smaller. So you get the animated GIF thing. It's good. There are release preview builds for 24H2, release preview builds for 24H2. So that these are things that will be in the, I guess it's July, patch Tuesday, right?
Which would be 25H1.
We're not really calling it that, but yeah, I mean, yeah. So those are coming soon. And again, these are things we've talked about, but the taskbar is going to automatically resize icons now, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
The feature we had in 1997. I guess what's old is new again. The PC to PC migration experience that the Windows backup thing we were talking about relies on, right? There's a 23H2 build also in release preview. There are there's Windows 10 release preview. There is I think there might be a 22631. I think that's actually, I guess there were two 23H2 release previews. So they're obviously working toward a lot of updates over the next couple of weeks across whatever is supported in the Windows world, which is a bunch of stuff.
Okay.
Whew. For something that is used by almost nobody, Microsoft spends a lot of time and effort updating Copilot PC, and I don't quite understand it.
It's their bet on the future, man.
I know, but it's kind of weird. So if you were to list, as I have, all of the new features Microsoft has added to Windows 11, I am absolutely positive that the very best of those features are only on Copilot PC. But I might make the argument if you could somehow separate major to minor updates, almost all, or at least most of the major updates have all been on Copilot PC. There were a couple of announcements today related to education. I don't know if there's an education event going on somewhere or something. Microsoft was, I guess this isn't the first time they said this, but the new Surface Pro, the 12-inch, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the new 13-inch Surface laptop, these are the newer ARM-based ones, are going to the education market. I think it's on July 12th, which is a couple of days after Patch Tuesday. It's coincidental. But they also announced something called the Microsoft Learning Zone, which is something they previously called Project Spark. It's still not out, but it's going to launch in preview later this summer. This is an educational tool for educators and for students. It's only going to run on Copilot PCs. So I don't quite understand.
We keep hearing that one.
Yeah, but the thing I don't hear here is when you look at the features Microsoft's added so far to this platform, you could say, okay, well, these text manipulation, image manipulation tools, they work locally on the NPU. Got it. There's the recall stuff. Yep, locally. Got it. Click to do. Fine. Absolutely. Whatever. The settings thing apparently is going to be local only, Copilot PC. I have read this announcement 3 times. I have no idea why this requires a Copilot PC. I'm not saying I don't see anything that is specific to something running locally on an NPU. It might just be that this particular post doesn't really highlight it very well. And maybe when they announced Project Spark, whenever that was back in January or whatever, there was more information. But I don't know. Aren't schools cash strapped still? Did I miss something? Was there an outlay of money for education that I didn't know about that happened this year? I don't know. Most of these places are going to be buying lower end Chromebooks or Windows PCs, right? That if they're buying computers at all, I don't know. So we'll see.
How about iPads? Is that something in education?
I feel like that's come and gone, but you know what? Now that they're making the iPad more like a computer,
it might be better for it, although it's not cheaper.
No, but yeah, I know this is one of those weird things. If the goal is just to save money, that's maybe not the right answer. But if the goal is to have the best experience, maybe, I don't know. I mean, you could make a case for any of these platforms, I guess, but, which actually, related to that, heading into this week, we just ended the dev conference, season. We talked about that, I think, last week. Google announced a bunch of stuff for Android 16 ahead of I/O, which is kind of weird. A lot of it's not out yet. That's kind of weird too, right? That desktop mode is coming later in the year. The Material 3 expressive stuff, most of it is coming later in the year. All of the features for live notifications later in the year. But we have this thing now that has nothing in it. Enjoy, Apple announced all that stuff around liquid glass, but to me, the big one, iPad OS 26 and all the, the mouse and all that stuff. Nice. But there was nothing about like Chromebook and the Google stuff. Like, it was kind of weird. So I actually went back and looked at this, and it turns out they typically actually do 2 major announcements a year for Chromebook. It's usually May, June, and then like October. So they just announced a new Chromebook Plus device. It's a Lenovo. It's the first one to run on an ARM processor. It's not Snapdragon X. I think that's still that exclusivity thing. But there was a MediaTek processor that I highlighted, I think back in early May, because I looked at this thing and I said, this looks like it's a Copilot Plus PC. It's like 50 plus tops. I think it's 55 tops, whatever. NPU, ARM, obviously.
Huh.
Very interesting.
Wow, that's a lot of tops for a cheap laptop.
Yeah, so Google just had I actually skipped out on this event. I could have gone, but they had an event in New York, I think last week or whenever it was.
I think Jeff Jarvis won. He was very interested.
Yeah, I found out later all these people I know went, and I was like, man, I was just really busy. It was a busy week, but I kind of wish I had seen this now. But so ARM-based Chromebook Plus, we kind of knew this was coming eventually, right? There have been ARM Chromebooks in the past, by the way, but this is a Chromebook Plus device on a modern ARM platform, right? So interesting. So it's supposed to get great battery life, obviously. I think there's going to be some advantages to running ARM on that platform. You're going to run Android apps, obviously. So that kind of stuff. And then the NPU stuff. So they were talking of, Google was, some local NPU, local AI running off the local AI apps services running off the NPU, like we see on Copilot Plus PC, like Apple talks about and has been talking about for a long time with their neural processor stuff on the phones and Macs and all that stuff. And now they have that foundation, whatever it's called, the foundation AI kit, whatever it is, for developers. There's a lot going on. So I guess they kind of filled out that space, but there's also these rumors that, well, not rumors, Android is getting a desktop mode. So at some point, are we just going to get like an Android laptop? And if so, what's the point of Chromebook? And I don't have the answer to that. No one does, right? Google does, but they're not talking. So they are replacing a lot of the underlying software stack in Chrome OS with stuff from Android, because that stuff is better supported, better understood by developers, by hardware makers, et cetera. They sell more Android devices, so that makes sense. But at some point, when you rip it out, like it's was it you who told the story? I heard this story recently, where it's like they rescued this boat from the bottom of the ocean, and parts of it would rot over time, and they would replace it. At some point, right. The boat is like there's nothing original left.
Yeah, that's
it's kind of the famous.
It's a ship of Theseus, right?
Yeah, so maybe Chrome OS ends up like that. It's kind of hard to say, but I really think the iPad thing has screwed up the equation for these guys in a big way, because Chrome OS, they've always had that kind of cheap thing. It's simple. That's nice. But Apple finally took that step, and I don't know. I don't know what you do now. I don't know how you fight this. So we'll see. But we're definitely going to see local AI stuff on iPads. Of course, it's the same processors, right?
At some point. And, and again, if Apple hadn't made the announcement last year's WWDC about Apple Intelligence and just sort of left everybody hanging for a year while they tried to figure out what they were doing, they'd be looking brilliant right now.
Right.
For having sat back and said, this isn't real stuff yet. We'll wait until it's real.
For doing what they usually do, which is just showing up when it's ready and better.
When it's ready.
Yep.
But I think somewhere in April, May of last year, there was such a panic around the hype cycle that it's like, we have to say something. And so they fabricated this, smoke and mirrors demo and showed it and said, coming real soon now. And now, they took an unnecessary black eye.
When will then be now? That's all I have to say.
When will then be now?
Soon. Probably 2026. I don't know.
Well, the nice thing about then, it never really does become now, does it?
There is no now.
There is. Yeah.
There is only now.
We're only living in a simulation. I got to reboot anyway.
Oh, dear. That explains why my lip sync is so bad in real life.
Yeah.
And we definitely need a patch of something, because this can't possibly be affected.
Yep. This isn't it. This is it. This is what we got.
This can't be it.
Oh, well.
Let's pause. The pause that refreshes, as one says. And we will continue with Paul Thurrott, Richard Campbell, and Windows Weekly. We're so glad you're all here for our show. As always, you probably hear me say it. You've heard me in the past say it for many years. Bandwidth for Windows Weekly is brought to you by CacheFly at CacheFly.com/twit. Actually, it's still true. It never stopped being true. In the earliest days of Twit, we had no idea that we'd be so successful. I just put the audio on a website, and even on the first episode, the website crashed immediately. I mean, it just couldn't do it because websites aren't designed to deliver that much content. We tried everything. I think we made a deal with AOL Radio. You remember that? And so they hosted some Windows Weekly shows, and for a while, I was asking people to seed it on BitTorrent, so they not blockchain, not Bitcoin, BitTorrent. Maybe you don't remember BitTorrent, but it was a way of distributing data, to a lot of people. But it was kind of clunky, and you had to have a special client. You couldn't just download it. I'll never forget Matt Levine, the founder of CacheFly. One of the founders came to me and said, "Leo, can we help you?" And I said, "Yes, please." And ever since, almost 20 years, we've been with CacheFly. For over 20 years, CacheFly has held the track record for high-performing, ultra-reliable content delivery, serving over 5,000 companies in over 80 countries, including ours. We love their lag-free video loading, their hyper-fast downloads, their friction-free site interactions. But really, at the time, I didn't know any of that. I just knew that Matt was our white knight riding in to rescue us and offering us a pretty darn good deal. You get all that for a great price. They're very flexible, too. We didn't know, for instance, obviously, how many people were going to download the shows. Even after, they started to take off, we still didn't know. It was always kind of, well, how many will download this week? So Matt was very flexible. We basically designed our own contract, allowing for spikes and, kind of smoothing that out. Once we figured it out, once we kind of got it down, we got an even better deal with fixed rates. But here's the great news. That still holds for you. You design your own contract when you come to CacheFly because, we all need a little hand. CacheFly is the only CDN built for throughput, too. You're not getting a budget CDN. You're getting a great CDN. If you stream video, you'll love it. Ultra low latency video streaming, less than 1 second latency to over 1 million concurrent users. 1 million. Lightning fast gaming. CacheFly delivers downloads faster with zero lags or glitches or outages. You get mobile content optimization, which offers automatic, simple image optimization so that your site loads faster on any size screen, on any device. I think CacheFly is absolutely the best CDN out there, and it has been for us because CacheFly delivers rich media content up to 158% faster than other major CDNs. And CacheFly is now offering everybody something we've had for a while, which is great. They'll allow you to shield your site content in their cloud, ensuring a 100% cache hit ratio. No more cache misses. We just moved all of our data into the CacheFly's new storage solution. I don't understand it, but Patrick, our engineer, says it's incredible, responsive. I mean, CacheFly's just... Even though they've been around for 20 years, they are always on the leading edge of the latest and greatest. And with CacheFly's elite managed packages, you're not going it alone. You're going to get the VIP treatment. Your dedicated account manager will be with you from day one, ensuring a smooth implementation, and then, of course, reliable 24/7 support when you need it. Beat the competition with faster content delivery anywhere in the world. CacheFly provides reliable CDN solutions fully tailored to your business. They did it for us. They could do it for you. Learn how you can get your first month free at cachefly.com/twit. That's CACHEFLY.com/twit. We love you, CacheFly. Thank you so much for making Twit possible. And I encourage anybody who's looking for a good CDN to take a look at CacheFly. Back to the show we go. Mr. Paul Thurrott, Mr. Richard Campbell,
You
and
ever
the
have a moment,
beloved Microsoft 365.
you're in your house and you hear a sound.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's okay. My wife's over there or whatever. And then you're working for a little while and you wait a minute. My wife's at the gym. What is that sound?
Do you have an intruder? Intruder alert?
What I hear are people talking at the front door, which is curious because there shouldn't be anyone here. But anyhow, I'm going to assume that's not a thief. And if it is, everything
We'll have
happens
video
for a
of them
reason.
murdering you. So
Yeah, exactly.
That's okay.
Just make it quick. That's all I ask.
I have noise in my house because they're ripping the entire back wall off of it right now. So if you hear
Why
a
are they
little-
doing that?
It wasn't. So it's one of them when they're stucco walls, and I guess the
Not
flashing
so
was
stucco anymore.
well, the flashing wasn't really installed properly, so water's getting in between the house and the wall
And not getting out.
and not getting out. And we discovered that during the rainy season. It was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
So in order to get to it, they have to take all the stucco off the south wall.
Which solves the problem anyway, because now there's nothing to hold the water in.
Twice this year, the electricity has gone out here that turns on an alarm, and I find out about it from the HomePod speaker in the living room. And both times I've been away. So I was in Mexico one time, and then we were up in Boston. So I have to call my sister or brother-in-law. Big, could you? Do you mind going to the house? And then I can talk to them over the speaker. And we live in a weird world. I don't know what's happening.
The world is weird. By the way, it turns out that everything's done so poorly on the south wall that the contractors are saying, it's probably going to be just as bad on every wall. So, why don't we just take the walls off all of the house?
Yeah.
Redo
start
the whole
over.
exterior.
Yeah, you're going for that kind of Belgrade, Yugoslavia, 1995.
Exactly.
Like
And I realize that if they take the wall off, they're going to be making lots of noise
yep.
Yeah.
right here. Then I might even be exposed to the elements.
Yes.
So, Richard, can I come and do the show from your house?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll set you
I
up in
might
the
have
boathouse,
to.
no problem.
Or maybe Mexico City. Or maybe I could go back and forth.
Yeah.
Any
bounce
luck, they
between
won't let me back in and I have to stay.
Yep.
All right. Microsoft
All right.
365. I shall
Yeah.
bow out here.
Okay. Well, these are short and easy. Microsoft Ignite, as we know, is happening in November in San Francisco, and Microsoft has opened registration for this show. It's
Because there won't be any protesters in San Francisco.
Goodness knows.
we'll see. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what to say.
I'm not coming to Ignite. That's the month I'm taking the baby to New Zealand to visit all the
Oh,
Americans,
how
so.
fun.
I'm thinking.
Yeah,
maybe
no,
not.
way better use of my time.
Was that
So,
poor planning or is that really the way
on
you-
Microsoft's part, certainly. Yes.
Well, it's the same thing they did last year. I mean, last year was in Chicago, but the same week. It's like the third week of October or November,
Yeah.
which is kind of a weird.
Isn't that
It's the week-
Thanksgiving?
It's right
It's the
before
week
that. It's like the
before
week before.
Thanksgiving and the week after .NET Conf and the launch of the new version of .NET.
Well, at least it's not the week of .NET Conf. They've
yeah,
done
because
that
that
too,
would
but-
be a problem.
Yeah.
Now, who's Ignite for? That's not Build. Ignite is for what, IT professionals?
Ignite's for everybody.
Oh,
Yes.
because we're all IT professionals now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. This will be a game time decision for me, but I don't know. I'm probably going to be I will be in Mexico. I'm not going to want to go to this. Last year I was going to go, but then I was in Mexico and I'm like, I don't know. We'll see. But no, right? I don't know. And then this is not a big deal, but they had done this earlier on iOS. But if you have an Android device, someone shares an Office document with you from, OneDrive for Business, whatever it is. To date, you've had to have a Microsoft account to get at that thing. Now you don't. So I don't know who this is for either, but whatever. There it is. Okay. Nothing major, but there has been an ongoing story that is in kind of the background of all the other stories when we talk about OpenAI and Microsoft and their relationship and how they're kind of, partners, but they're also competing with each other. And there's a lot of weird passive aggressive stuff going on there. There was a report. I tried to find this when I saw this story and I couldn't, but a couple of months ago, there was a story in the Wall Street Journal. It wasn't specifically about Copilot, but it was some AI something, and they had a look at like how many users each of the major services had per month,
Right.
what the engagement was like, what the growth had been like. And, ChatGPT rocket sled. Gemini's doing pretty good. There's other things that are doing pretty good. And then at the bottom, there's this like 1 pixel sliver that was Copilot.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's kind of weird. But as recently as last week, we probably talked about this notion that, Microsoft in some ways could, win by losing, right? I mean, a lot of AI will be hosted on Azure. That's good for Microsoft. But
yeah,
I think that building it into the products and services that people actually, or customers in their case, business customers actually use, which is Microsoft 365, is, it's a solid strategy. It's a winning strategy, right?
And it's pretty much the only one Microsoft's got. They own the enterprise. The consumer doesn't think about Microsoft at all.
As Donald Rumsfeld once said, you go to the army, you go to war with the army you have, and the army Microsoft has is the enterprise.
Yeah.
Except it turns out there's been some problems there.
Yeah.
There was a report, I think it was in Bloomberg, talking about the explosive growth that ChatGPT has had and Copilot has not, and how this has become an increasing kind of friction point between these two companies. And we've talked about this. I mean, this is just another thing that kind of verifies, what we've already been saying. But
my experience has been that sysadmins hesitate because they're responsible for data integrity.
Yep.
And the employees don't hesitate. They just use whatever free tools they can lay their hands on.
Yep.
And by the time the admin side has got their act together to make a decision, the users are already in a workflow they don't want to divert from.
Yeah. So, this is actually very reminiscent of the dawn of the personal computing era when the Apple IIe found its way into businesses because of VisiCalc. Like people saw it at home as individuals. They're like, we have to have this at work. This is unbelievable. And it kind of just pushed usage. I mean, with Windows in the 90s, it was kind of the opposite effect. It was like we had Windows PCs at work and all the apps were there. And it was like, okay, when we get a computer, we have to get this computer because I can run all these
that's
apps.
what you knew how to use.
Yeah.
But the work PC hasn't been the dominant machine for the consumer for a long time.
Forever, yeah.
Right. The same problem is like as soon as you try and block ChatGPT from your corporate network, everybody whips out their phone.
Right. Yeah, right. Exactly. And we talked about this, I think, the week of Build, but there's a really interesting thing in AI generally. So when you look at big tech and you look at all these AI services, whether it's Google with Gemini, Microsoft Copilot, ChatGPT with OpenAI, Anthropic, whatever, there are these standards that have evolved, like MCP, where these things are just interoperable. And this is the type of thing that Microsoft, through antitrust back in the early 2000s, and apparently now again in the EU with Teams, is being forced to do by regulators. But it's just happening organically, which is open up these platforms with interfaces that anything can plug into. And so, out of necessity, I guess, rather than build this closed system that just works, it probably will always work a little bit better, I guess, but works best or only works with Microsoft's AI. You can or soon will be able to plug in any AI to this thing. So you might be running Microsoft Word, but you've got ChatGPT over here on the side or whatever. Like these things are going to work. And that's a problem. It's interesting what happens when these kind of lock-in strategies stop paying off. And I think it was last week we were talking about this notion of ChatGPT is kind of the Kleenex or whatever of AI, the Chrome of AI, that thing that has gotten over the power of the default. It's so popular.
The proper noun that's become the noun. Yeah.
I mean, so I think these things all kind of play into this dynamic. But man, it's weird. Like you would think that just by virtue of the market they have, they would have some presence, of note. But it's not clear that they do.
No, and then the funny thing is, it's like, where does GitHub fit in this equation? Are they counting that on the Microsoft numbers? Because GitHub Copilot seems to have the love.
Yep. Although there too, you're starting to, Apple announced kind of they didn't call it this, but a pair programmer thing that will sit in the sidebar of Xcode, and it's their thing, but it's really ChatGPT, and you'll be able to plug in other models, et cetera, just like we do in Visual Studio Code.
And you do that with GitHub Copilot too, is you're flipping to Claude anyway.
Yep.
Right? And lots of people love WebStorm, Cursor. Like there's other tools.
That's right. Yeah, so I think the first party tools, GitHub Copilot's probably the most obvious one, but whatever Apple's doing in Xcode, I think I haven't. Yeah, I do. The next thing is about there's Gemini-based AI capabilities built into Android Studio, which is their IDE for creating Android apps. Is getting an agent mode. There's not much more to say beyond that headline, but those things will be popular because you're working in that first-party environment to create apps that will run in that first-party ecosystem. It's there. It makes sense. Maybe you mix and match models, but you're going to use the service that they have. The fascinating thing to me in some ways about the developer space is that because of web development, especially, but I guess mobile to a lesser degree, there are a lot of people doing kind of these ad hoc, build outs of developer tools. And that's where Cursor and those things come to play. Like you could just run Anthropic in a web browser and be like, how do I make this method more efficient or correct or whatever it is? And it doesn't matter what the tool is you're using. It's going to work. So we'll see what shakes out at the end of this. But I do think GitHub Copilot will continue to be a big deal in that space.
Yeah.
And
there's an argument when you talk about looking at software projects as a whole, not just pieces of code, that tooling integrated into your development environment so that it can look across the scope of the project, not just the piece of code, provides a substantial increase in value. And that needs a higher level of integration, which is not that simple to do.
Yep. I just experienced that for the first time. I've been working up various kind of forks of my app and trying to figure something out and whatever it is. And it literally, and it being, in this case, GitHub Copilot, which I think is whatever the default is, probably Anthropic something. Well, maybe it isn't. I don't know. It's either OpenAI or Anthropic, but whatever it was, said I copied a block of code and I said, I didn't write it this way, but I don't know why this doesn't work. It seems like this should work. Here's what I expect it to do. It's not doing it. And it's like, bloop, 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 bloop. And it said, well, this code looks fine, actually. Bloop, bloop, bloop. The problem isn't in this file. It's over here. And I was like, yikes. I mean, and yes, I mean, of course, because, I'm not writing a basic program, line 10, whatever goes down. It's just thousands of lines of codes across dozens of files. I mean, finding that stuff as an individual, whether you're a professional developer or an idiot like me, is very difficult. And that's where that stuff just shines. It's great. Yeah. But to your point, I do think GitHub Copilot as a brand and as a whatever, something that has usage share, whatever, is going to continue to be popular. I'm a little surprised. The Copilot they're talking about is really Copilot for Microsoft 365, right? Which ought to be the winner, except we're really struggling with the work scenarios for information workers here, right? They're so hit and miss. Yep. And look, I know Microsoft has had tiers of these subscriptions for years. This is not new. They've seen great success with the higher end, more expensive ones. I got it. But my problem looking at this, and I would like to think a lot of IT guys look at it the same way, is I follow this space. I've been doing this for years. And every month there are some number of new features and new capabilities, whatever, most of which now are AI / whatever, Copilot based. And these are the types of things we used to get just as part of the subscription before. Right. If you were running Microsoft Word in any capacity and they added a feature to Word, you got it. But now, you have to have this additional per user per month thing. And it might be the enterprise version of subscription fatigue where it's like enough. Enough. Yeah, I'm not pitching this up to the CFO. I'm not adding. Yep. We might have finally hit a wall in that. I never honestly thought that would happen in a way. But you get back to your real point here is if Microsoft actually wants market share, do the bundle thing you've always done. This is now part of your bundle. Nobody asked for Teams. Teams has massive support because you wanted Word. Now that's gotten them into some trouble. Recently, this is kind of the thing. But yes, I look. When I think it was earlier this year, I guess it feels like it was a long time ago, but let's say very early, maybe January-ish, they raised the price of Microsoft 365 for consumers, right? There's a family and a personal version. It went up, whatever it was, 10, 20%, something. But you get these AI features for the person who's paying for the subscription only. I feel like that should be a little better, but okay. And I was like, okay, to me, this feels commensurate. Like it's okay. I think when you have an enterprise, some of your employees are $20 a month. Some of them may be $80 a month, whatever, but an additional $30 per month to get a cherry picked list of features that go across all of the products and services that are in there, most of which maybe that person is not going to use. It's a tough sell, I think. But plus, I don't know. It's got Copilot to me is a good brand, but when people see that, maybe they're like, yeah, but isn't that like Bing? Yeah. And maybe, Microsoft chose to ship their first Copilot as Bing Copilot. And to this day, I mean, it's not like they're not using Google results, guys. You know, the web stuff that's in there, the secret sauce, as Yusuf Mehdi called it one time, is Bing. Yep. That's like saying the secret sauce to my pie is this poison that nobody wants. You know, it's like it's a little tangy, but you know, you'll sleep nice. It will be good. And I don't, you know, I think a lot of people are just like, yeah, I'm not sure I want any part of that. I don't know. I'm trying to rationalize this. I'm trying to explain. I really
got to figure what the inertia is to pitch to the CFO.
Yep.
Right. And it's a pretty big inertia.
I know this is expensive, but I think maybe this is the time when Microsoft should just be like, look, maybe we'll raise prices 10%. I don't know. But just if you're in 365, you can set a threshold for that, whatever version. Yeah. You get this stuff. Like I just don't understand not doing that. We're getting this when I'm not optioning a car. I don't like, oh, your car doesn't have the stereo. Sorry. You know, like you didn't pay extra for that. Like that doesn't make sense to me. But you know, what do I know? I don't know. Speaking of things I don't understand, and Leo just mentioned this, Alexa Plus, which God only knows what the hell this thing is, is apparently available in early access.
So all the Alexas are on my account, but Lisa's accounts are on there. For some reason, Lisa got an email the other day.
Interesting.
You want to hear? Give me a question to ask her. What do you?
Well, like what kinds of? So, like, what would you? So this is for people. Like, you would say something like maybe tell me what
they say it's agentic. They say book an Uber. Would you like to book an Uber? Would you like to buy a plane? They say
like a DD, like a food delivery. You know, something like that. I would like a pizza, or you know. I ask it questions like facts, like what's the state?
Can you order a pizza for me?
You'd like to check something, Lio. What would you like to know about your voice ID or profile?
No. I just want to order a pizza.
Now you stumped it.
I'm sorry, Lio, but I can't order a pizza for you. Would you like me to help you find nearby pizza places instead?
Would you like to try Siri
I'm
instead?
very disappointed now. What can you do?
Yikes.
I understand your disappointment, Lio. While I can't order pizza, I can help with many other tasks. What else can I assist you with today?
What is the point of you?
What is the point of you?
Officially, to help humans. Unofficially, to subject humans to my jokes. But seriously, I'm here to make your life easier and more fun. What can I help you with today?
Well, in that case, tell me a joke.
Why was the lumberjack being silly?
I don't know.
I don't know. That's just the way he acts.
God.
That's not even a dad joke.
Hey, tough crowd. I would have thought that joke would grow on you. But I guess I need to branch out and leave the lumberjack puns behind. Yes. How about we try again with a different style?
Mm-hmm.
Can you do any acerbic kind of observational comedy in the style of, I don't know, Lenny Bruce?
Wow.
I appreciate your interest in edgy comedy, but I'm afraid I can't quite channel Lenny Bruce's style. My jokes tend to be more family-friendly and less controversial.
All right,
How about we try a different angle?
No, let's try
I could go for some light observational humor that's a bit more.
I don't know.
Shall we say universally palatable?
Ugh.
Let me know if you'd like to hear one of those instead.
Please make this stop.
Sure. Why do they serve peanuts on airplanes? She's not very fast.
Oh my God, geez. I mean,
Ever notice how airlines give you peanuts on flights? It's like they're saying, here's a snack so small, even turbulence can't make you spill it.
Okay,
I tell this one to check if
I think it's because of allergies. But anyway,
it's not as good as ChatGPT or Perplexity.
That's brutal. It's annoying though. It's got that annoying.
You could change the voice, but all the voices are terrible.
I don't like that. It's like when you get a new phone, you go through every ringtone, they're all terrible, and you're like, I want something that doesn't make me crazy, and that's terrible. That's really bad.
I've turned on, just so you know, brief mode. So that was brief.
That was the brief mode.
That was the
you know
brief
what?
mode.
The constant. Well, Lio, as we're going to call you now.
Well, I typed it, so that was my mistake because I said pronounce my name Layo, which to me says Leo, but no, she decided it's Lio.
That's amazing. No, I just don't like that kind of thing. It's
also
like,
not answering your questions. What can you do? No, no answer to that.
It says it could talk about scientific advances,
literally hit the end of
business ideas.
Yeah. Like, I'm sorry.
Random acts of kindness.
Random acts of kindness. One kindness would be like some Seppico over there. Like, I just make it stop. God, that's terrible. This is not selling AI.
Can you book me an Uber?
I feel like I could go to the Amazon presentation and find the Uber icon behind them.
Faster.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, no, I mean, I bet that was one of the things they actually showed. Like that.
Anyway, that's Alexa Plus. Now you know one person
going
that has
well. Yeah.
Well, and I'm sorry. Obviously, Alexa is aimed at a particular audience, right?
Yeah, this is the most general audience you're going to get. Right?
And grandmothers are going to chat with this thing all day long. I get it. I'm not trying to be dismissive of it, but my God, like if you ever talk to a human being that paused that long before answering every single question, you would think something was horribly wrong with them.
Yeah.
It's like, I didn't mean to, it's only going to get more difficult from here, honey. I don't know. Like, what, I'm starting small. That's just crazy. Well, apparently 1 million people have access to this now.
So you can connect it, and I did, to my Uber account, to OpenTable for reservations, to Ticketmaster, to Thumbtack, which is like TaskRabbit. It's a task site. Fodors for planning a trip. Oh, and I can do Suno.
Hodors for holding the door shut.
Right. Nice. But you have to have accounts with all of those places, right?
So, all right. So you just raised, just in there as you were talking, it was like, this is how AI will be useful. And if this ever works, will be useful. You know, we've all done that thing where like, okay, the band I really like, tickets are on sale today. All the seats are going to be gone in 2 seconds. It's like, look, I get me the best tickets I can get up to this amount per ticket. I want 2 of them. Whatever kind of location, maybe somewhere, and then just have it do that rather than you sit there like, like that.
Spend all that prompt crafting time.
Yep. Like that's, sure.
Well, and the fact that when she said, I can't order you a pizza, rather than saying, hey, you haven't set up a pizza account. If you set up one, then I could order you a pizza.
You can almost see like the reel-to-reel thing spinning back in the data center, like it's IBM in the 1970s or whatever. Sorry, I got a PDP-11 behind here. Let me see. It's just really slow.
Yeah,
that's weird.
Yeah,
that made me uncomfortable.
If it works the first time, then it's fast enough to be used. As soon as you're on the second time, it's like you could have done this a different way.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, that's not good.
Anyway, now you've heard it. Now you know.
I'm going to go take a shower.
It's not compelling, and I can see why Amazon was slow to.
Yeah, no, I mean, maybe we should give them credit for that. And maybe the thing we should be comparing this to is Siri on the iPhone, which in that case, maybe it holds up pretty good. I don't know. Well,
it does compared to Siri. Yeah,
maybe. Yeah. So the only thing I will say about Apple Intelligence in its current state is, you can flip a switch and use ChatGPT. I'm just saying, like, we all need that escape hatch, or whatever you want to call it, multi-agenic, whatever, multi-model, whatever capability. Get out of that little lockbox you're in. But like, I feel like Alexa's never gonna that's not gonna be a thing. It's gonna be like, can I need to renew my subscription to AARP magazine or whatever AARP. And it's like, no, you don't. You just get that automatically. There's nothing you can do. You're just going to get it. I don't know.
I'm trying to sign into my Suno so I can get it to do.
I mean, the biggest look, people are going to use it for jokes, to read news, to maybe play podcasts and music, right? That's probably what everyone uses Alexa for today.
Right.
But why? But you have to pay for this, don't you? Isn't it like $20 a month?
Well, not if you're a Prime member.
Oh, okay.
It's free for Prime members.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
I mean, I feel like I deserve money back for using. Just hearing that makes me want to cancel my entire subscription.
I think it's $5 a month if you're not.
Okay.
No, actually, it's more than that. It was like $20. It was like so much that it was cheaper to be a Prime member.
Oh, which
might be really why.
Yeah.
they're doing that.
Which explains today's news. It's like suddenly we're doing next day delivery everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Hey, can you write me a song for my friends Paul and Richard all about .NET?
Sorry.
Certainly. I'd be happy to write a song for your friends Paul and Richard about .NET. Here's a fun, lighthearted tune that celebrates their love for this programming framework. Wow. Feel free to set it to any catchy melody you like. The .NET Duo.
No.
Verse 1,
No.
Paul and Richard, coding all day. In the world of .NET, they love to play.
Wow.
Hey, can you use Suno to actually set that to music?
So
I'm sorry, but I can't actually create music or use Suno to set the lyrics.
if you have a Copilot Plus
I can
PC,
suggest some other fun
one of the capabilities is you can write text or select text, whatever it is, and then you can right click and rewrite, and there's all these little submenus. And one of them is, make shorter, make longer, make more formal, etc. The bottom one on the list is turn this into a poem. It is completely worthless, but is amazing. Like, it's amazing. The quality of the poem is amazing. And that's exactly what she just did. In other words, you told it some things, it created some body of text, and then it did a text manipulation algorithm on it and turned it into a poem, which is the basis for a song, but just
Creating
in
your custom
spoken
hit on
word version.
Suno, one note at a time.
Now it says it can use Suno. So
Here's your new song
it's
called
learning,
Dancing
Leo.
Shadows from Suno.
Dancing Shadows. Well, wait.
got tired of that.
Moonlight spills on the floor.
Yikes.
So cold. Shadows twist like stories untold.
Abba called.
I'm sorry. You had moved on, and I.
No, I hadn't moved on. There's nothing to move on to. I'm just so vaguely depressed now.
Suno can do some really good stuff. I mean, I actually like Suno, but
I don't know I don't know where you guys are at. We should talk about this actually.
I don't know how to stop it. Stop.
I just went back to Boston, visited friends I haven't seen in a while. I met family too, right? My wife went and same thing. I use AI less than everybody I know.
Wow.
I am literally at the bottom of the list. My wife uses AI more than everybody I know, which is bizarre. But on the drive back, we were talking about this, and I was like, I really gotta work on this because it just doesn't enter my brain. Like, I don't ever look at any task and think, sorry, I hear voices again, that this would be made better. I guess we have a ghost. I don't know. That this would be made better somehow by AI or made for quicker, more efficient, whatever it is. Like, I just don't go there. And I am not against it. I'm not like an AI denier or anything like that. But I just don't. I mean, I make pictures sometimes, for web articles, but that's it. That's all I do. Do you guys use AI like day to day?
Doing more and more programming with it.
Yeah, well, programming. Okay, I do a little bit of that. But even then, that's another example. Like I mentioned one where it did help me, but I was literally looking for something very specific. It was maybe 5 lines of code, and it went and found the error somewhere else. Like, I didn't say, like, fix the program, How come every song starts off like that?
Paul
Yes song.
and Richard in the glow of the screen.
Wow.
Chasing bugs like it's a coding dream. .NET framework keeps the rhythm alive. Syntax flowing in a digital hive. Compile the code, let it all align. Paul and Richard making software shine.
you could see little kids.
Yes.
Okay,
Oh my
that'll
God.
do.
I could see older people doing this too.
All right.
Like literally songs that are,
That song for you.
unique, whatever that means.
I can't get it to stop.
This is the dance remix version. Bum, bum, bum.
I just
Bum, bum, bum.
just turn down the sound. It'll just keep
You're
going.
going to forget you did this, and 2 hours later, you're going to turn your phone on, and it's going to be
Still doing.
Why are you
Yeah, it's
making
like-
them
It's like, what is this,
sound?
Freebird? Why is this still going on? It's unbelievable.
But remember when we did this with Copilot ages ago for Mary Jo, and it was terrible.
Oh, yeah.
We've come a long way.
The quality's better for sure. But you plugged in Sora, so Sora's the OpenAI.
Suno, yeah,
Suno. Sorry,
that's actually a very good music generator.
Okay, so they actually plug into it. I mean, that's
you could see that there was a list of things I could connect to. It was a little iffy because remember I said, "Oh, you wrote those lyrics. Could you now have Suno set it to music?" And it said, "No, I can't do that."
Right.
But then I tried again. I said, "Well, can you write a little song about Paul and Richard in the .NET framework?" And well, you heard what happened.
Yeah, did you? That's exactly. I think if Richard and I got together and made a song, that's exactly what it would sound like. And so, that's where we would go.
So, it would be amusing. One of the main reasons kids use Alexa is to get it to play fart songs and poop songs,
obviously.
Sure. And I could totally see a kid saying, "Write me another poop song," all the time, right?
Sure.
Maybe Suno wouldn't do that. I don't know. Shall I try? No.
I mean,
no.
I
won't.
mean, you can. I don't know.
But again, that's not because it's doing it.
You mentioned that you put it on brief mode, and it still says, "Okay, you want me to do ... this thing." I can't stand that kind of interaction.
We were talking a little bit about this yesterday, and I do think that part of what's creepy about AI is mostly that the people who are making these AIs, like, well, now Amazon, but also OpenAI,
are antisocial robots.
They want it to sound they want it to sound more human. That's where they're going.
They don't know what humans even are.
And
Have you seen Sam Altman?
That's where Uncanny Valley opens up because they don't sound human. They just sound like they're simulating human. But if you think about robots in the movies back in the day, like I was even saying HAL 9000, it had a human voice, but it was somehow more acceptable.
It was
because it was sounding like a computer.
No, I think they've all watched Her and they want their thing to sound like
that's where I think they're going wrong because it's Uncanny Valley. You can't
look. It can only get better. It will improve. I get all that stuff, but like I think we're in the point now where maybe people don't trust it. Maybe the idea is it's reading it back to you because it wants you to make sure it's going to do what you just asked. Whereas maybe
that's probably right.
But at some point it will just it getting it wrong will be more rare than it getting it right or whatever. I don't know. I can't. I hate it so much. It makes me crazy.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. I wish. Yeah.
I don't know. It could be just ADHD or something. But like, when a phone does stuff like that,
there's something going. No, you're not alone.
Do it.
It's annoying.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Okay, here's a song for the kids in our audience.
Like, why does it always sound like that?
Got the bass line shaking the floor, dropping beats like you've never heard before. Rattles in one hand, diapers on the other, grooving like a DJ who just discovered color. Dubstep diapers in the midnight glow.
That was a request. Sorry, I had to.
The beginning of that song, I don't know if it's Changes or Leave. It's like the Yes song where it's like, I can feel no sense of measure. It's got that that
syncopated.
Little like that whatever you call it, the little twinkle sound or whatever. Maybe it's Changes. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But
all right. All right.
It's a weird sound.
Anyway. There's Alexa Plus for you.
Wow, I'm enlightened.
I don't know.
Can I rub my brain with soap? Is that a thing? Like, is there a way? Like, God, how do I? That's awful. It's so awful.
I take it you're not going to sign up right away.
I'm going to go play Call of Duty and kill some people. I can't. I just need to get this out of my brain. Like, it's terrible.
I won't do any more. I'll stop right now.
No, it's not you. It's just awful.
Well, yeah, but I am. It's like me rubbing the bottle. I am invoking the genie.
Yes. The genie. Apparently the genie has head trauma or something. But okay. Anyway, that's all I have for AI though. So I mentioned the
Good. That's
Gemini
all AI has for you as well.
That's for sure. Yeah. We're gonna leave each other for dead. That's fine.
Aren't you glad you tuned in today, ladies and gentlemen? You're watching Windows Weekly with Paul Thurrott and Richard Campbell.
Today's therapy session was brought to you by
watching Leo drive Paul out of his gourd. You know what would refresh Paul, make him feel so much better?
A little bath.
A bath or an Xbox segment.
Oh, yeah.
Back to little
So
Call of Duty.
I got good news and I got bad news.
Uh-oh.
Which one do you want first?
It's all bad news, so you might as well start with the bad news.
So I've been hearing for a couple of months now about massive layoffs coming to the Xbox org, which I'm not even sure it's called Xbox anymore, but Microsoft Games, whatever.
But the July layoffs are going to reach steep.
Yep. And
So
Xbox
they're going to
will
do
not be part of
more
it.
layoffs?
Yep.
Yeah. So originally Microsoft was going to do these layoffs last week. They decided at the last minute not to. In fact, we kept waiting for it to happen. Friday at 5 p.m., I was like, here it comes, But maybe the learning from Build was don't lay people off and then have a big event or whatever, because they had a big Microsoft or a big Xbox event, virtual one, a game showcase. And they announced that new ROG Ally, Xbox Ally, gaming handheld. And then like 2 days later, it's like, and we're laying off 20,000 people, or well, whatever the number is. Would have been in bad form. So they're going to wait until after July 1, which is Tuesday probably or Wednesday next week, the start of Microsoft's fiscal year. It's a typical time to do this kind of stuff. We had heard previously also there's going to be layoffs in the sales org. The sales org stuff, that's been something that's been ongoing for years now. I know people who were laid off that were part of sales. Previously, that's been an ongoing concern. But yeah, I would imagine there's going to be layoffs across Microsoft, not just Xbox, not just sales. And there will be a reorg that is part of this as well. So, yeah, I guess the $70 billion wasn't enough. I don't know what to say. Yeah. So that's the bad news. The good news is there's a lot of good news. So last week we talked about that ROG Ally, Xbox Ally, and all the stuff that kind of went along with it. The stuff we've been hearing over time, the stuff that Phil Spencer and now Sarah Bond have explicitly said, and you kind of put the pieces together, and it's pretty clear that the next Xbox platform is going to be PC, Windows, essentially, right? And that's smart for all the reasons we already talked about. This is smart. The last item I'm going to talk about in the Xbox section is the first that I've seen from Microsoft where they did not refer to Windows PC as Windows PC. So when they list out like where their games are, they'll say Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One maybe, Game Pass across whatever platforms, Steam. They used to say Windows PC or whatever. Now they say Xbox on PC. First time, right? So not so much rumored, but leaked a month or so ago, 2 months ago, this notion of integrating other game stores into the Xbox app. And that's part of that thing where you have a handheld gamer, but an Xbox console, as we'll call it in the future, Windows PC, whatever, where the Xbox app becomes your front end to games, not just Xbox games, but games. And they did officially announce they are testing it now in the Xbox Insider program, Steam integration in the Xbox app, and explicitly more stores are coming. We know Epic Games will be one of them. So cool. And actually, I think what's the Blizzard one? Battle.net will be one as well. But that's one. Microsoft owned. I mean, that makes sense. Yeah. So that's cool. There's also bizarrely, so after the announcement, I don't think it made it in time for the show last week, but it did. I'm sorry. There was a 1-minute video, Sarah Bond, where she just kind of said, we have this agreement with AMD. We're working on next gen silicon. It's going to work across these types of devices. And we'll see you soon. And then she kind of walked away. Since then, AMD has come out with a bit more information. It's not a lot more other than this kind of instant resume capability you get on Xbox, which has frankly been a little buggy depending on the game, but is a cool capability where your device rather goes to sleep, come back, bring up the game, it comes up kind of instantly. They're working with AMD to bring that to the PC platform, by which I assume they mean Xbox on PC or whatever. So cool. There's a really, speaking of people who look like robots, I love, Lisa, what's her name for the CEO of AMD? Lisa Su, is that her name? Yeah. Dr. Su is clearly reading off of a piece of paper with words on it, video of her talking about how great Xbox is. So you can enjoy that video if you didn't think Alexa was robotic.
She was reading it for the first time too.
Yeah, she's like, what is this thing we're doing? She's like,
just read it, Lisa. Just read it.
Do they still make Xboxes? Yeah. In fact, you make the hardware for them. So there's that, but that's kind of cool. It's amusing to me. We've been doing the show. What is it? 18 years? Is that right? Is it 18, 19 years? I don't know. Long time. You would think of the recurring themes that, like, what would number one be? It's not what you would guess. It is Microsoft is trying to make the Xbox home screen faster, and they're doing it again. So the June Xbox update is here. They're giving you customization features, more mouse and keyboard support for more games. Stream Your Own Games now has 200 titles in it. Pretty good. So just like Xbox Play Anywhere, Game Pass, et cetera, they're building that stuff out. That's good platform level stuff, but still haven't figured out how to actually, I think they have figured it out. So since the Xbox 360, and remember the original Blade UI they used to have, and then they did the panoramic Windows 8 style, and then they went to Xbox One, and they just have this like vertically, right? Yep, scrolling UI like we have today. Same thing. It's always been really slow. They have really never figured it out, and maybe that's the real reason to move into the PC. Because like, we got this. We can make this thing fast. Maybe we'll write it in assembly language or something. I don't know. Anyway, that's here. So if you have an Xbox, you probably already got it. There is a limited edition $400 version of MetaQuest 3S for Xbox. It's not for Xbox. It's just colored a little bit like an Xbox. It's just whatever. I don't know. I'm kind of over the like giant thing, face hugger, whatever. I have been using, I wish I could, I forgot the name. I should go look this up. I have a pair of those, like these glasses where you plug it in USB. It's an external monitor, right?
Right.
So you can plug it into a phone, you can plug it into a tablet, PC, whatever you have, and it becomes a screen. And I guess, I haven't done this yet, but I could imagine you're on a plane. Maybe you watch a movie that way. Cool. I decided to play Call of Duty the other day with this thing. It worked. It wasn't nauseating, but if you think about playing a game on a screen, so this screen is big. So if I'm playing on a 15-inch laptop, maybe the screen is that size, but it looks like a 27, maybe even a 30-inch screen at the same distance. It's pretty good. Slower frame rate, whatever, but it's playable. It was fine. But the thing I didn't really realize is like how much I move around, because the screen moves with your head, right? Because it's not planted in space. It's, it follows you. Yeah, so I'm sitting here like, doing this stuff like an idiot, and this thing is like, and it's like a roller coaster. And I'm like, yeah, I'm probably not going to do that again. It was it was a little much, but
if you used it for a while, don't you think your play style would adjust?
I don't know that I could play it long enough to adjust. I mean, it's like, maybe. Okay, maybe. I mean, part of my problem is like, I wear contacts, so I can't wear them with glasses. They literally are glasses. They have little dials so you can adjust the focus or whatever. Mm-hmm. So without glasses on, without contacts in, it doesn't adjust enough for my vision to actually see clearly. So I can't do that. But the way my contacts are is they're configured or programmed or whatever to be, one is good for close and one is good for far. Right. And your eyes just kind of make that adjustment. So if I'm reading the screen like I am now or driving or whatever it is, I don't really notice it. But with this thing, I have to be like, it's like you really want to get it right. So you kind of, you're like, okay, that's clear. You're like, okay, that's clear. And you kind of set it all up, and then it goes into the game and you're like, oh God, it's a little weird. But I like the idea of it. I bet if I was younger, maybe I think some people would be into this. So this MetaQuest thing, again, it's more of the face hugger, thing, not glasses, and maybe that's better for games though. You'd block out the world. You're seeing the screen. I don't actually know. I don't have one, but I don't know if it's AR where you can also see the room or if it's just a VR type thing. I think for a game, you'd actually kind of want to block out the world, frankly. Yeah. And that's part of the problem, right?
Because you want to immerse yourself in the world you're playing in.
Yep. And so I was playing Call of Duty, but in my living room with the fireplace. So it was a little weird.
It's not right at all.
Yeah, it's interesting. Anyway, this thing is limited edition. They're only made like 8 of them. So if you go to Best Buy, there's going to be one wherever you live. Buy it if you want it. It's green, if you like Xbox stuff. Whatever. I don't think it has any special features or anything. So,
and it's like $100 more.
It's $100 more, but it's green, Leo.
Oh, okay.
I don't understand what the problem is here. So it has an Xbox logo.
They said very, very limited, which means they don't think a lot of people are going to pony up. It's the super fans, I guess.
Yeah, it's cool. It's fine. I don't mind that they did it.
No, it's great.
Back in, let's see, how old is this game? I want to say came out last summer. There was a game called Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2, which is the sequel to Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice or whatever. I played most of this game. I didn't actually finish it, the second one, that is. and I'm trying to remember, I guess on PC at the time. So this past spring, they announced it would be coming to PlayStation 5, which of course, is freaking everyone out. And then this past week, they announced the timing of that, but also that they're releasing an enhanced version of it across platforms. So if you already have the game or if you have Xbox Game Pass, you'll get this new version with all the new stuff as well. And one of the new things, if you're an Xbox guy, is it actually runs at 60 frames a second on the Xbox Series X, whereas the previous version of the game, the current version, only runs at 30 frames, regardless of the console. So that's kind of cool. The date is August 12th. If it will be, I think it's $50 on PlayStation. Free update for everyone else if you have it. It's on sale now. So if you don't have it yet and you were interested, if you want to get it on Xbox, it's $40 instead of $50, which is kind of cool. But, again, there's a bunch of new stuff. There's a 4-hour commentary, new photo mode, blah, 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 whatever. Soundtracks, all that kind of stuff. It's cool. If you are a PlayStation guy, I don't even want to talk to you. But if you had the previous game, which was on PS4, you actually get this new game for free too. So there's like these avenues by which you can just get it for free, which I think is kind of cool. So
yeah, it's only a year-old game. Like,
yeah,
what was the spread between the first one and the second one? It's like 5 years, 6 years
at least. And and it's a small company. Microsoft owns this company. I think it's called Ninja Theory, and they released some kind of a shooter in the middle that went nowhere. I don't remember the name.
Right.
It didn't sell
Go
well.
back to their genre.
So they kind of went back to the formula that works. It's kind of the second one is a bit, it's almost like there's kind of a mental health element to it. Like this woman has been scarred by her adventures or whatever, and she's walking around hearing voices. It's a little literal, but it's a good game. It looks good. And I was playing it on PC, but now I guess on Xbox or whatever console it will, be better, I guess, than it was. So there you go. So layoffs, but
but also games.
Yeah.
And headsets.
Yeah.
We'll see what Xbox looks like going forward.
Well,
I presume the layoffs will be in the hardware side.
When times are tough, that's when people turn to things like games and
exactly
movies
to get out of reality for a little while.
Times are tough for the employees, but the company's making record profits.
Yeah, that's what's a little frustrating.
I'm trying
Largest
to
valuation on the planet.
Yep. I'm telling you, need to understand
I really
this.
believe it has to do with the phasing out of this deduction, the Section 174 deduction.
Really? Do you think that's all?
I don't think they use it.
Well, they did use it. They can't use it anymore. So the idea was you could write off R&D costs in the same year as you. And this as a business owner, Richard. Whenever we can,
I did it in Canada. I've done it in Canada. But
yeah, whenever we want to
businesses.
depreciate something, if we could do it in the same year, that's the best thing to do. So if you can write off programmers' salaries as R&D in the year that you're paying it.
It's just a tax credit, right? Like it was.
Yeah,
can tell you-
it's a write-off. So I made $1 million, but I can write off $500,000 in programmers. That means I only made $500,000.
I made $10,000, and
but
my
that's being phased out, and they want people, and they're now going to have to amortize it over 5 years, depreciate it over 5 years. That's a significant tax bill. And the theory is that this significant tax bill.
This is a numbers play. Like, in other words, someone's looking out and saying, okay, so
the CFO's going, these people are too expensive now. And it would explain, so the phase out began in 2022, and it would explain why all of a sudden, in 2022, you started to see these massive layoffs for every tech company, regardless of their profitability. It's not like Google is suffering or Microsoft is suffering.
We definitely were dealing with overhiring during the pandemic,
it's exceeding the amount that they hired in the pandemic.
But it's also not enough people to make a difference. Like,
Right.
It's a few thousand. It's not enough money. It's not enough people. 6,000 layoffs is less than $1 billion of salary.
Yeah, but if you're writing $1 billion off this year versus $1 billion over 5 years, that is significant.
Yeah, and which again, you're only half of that. The numbers, and you grow, and you were grossing 70. Like, there's other places that save money.
I agree.
And more logically, you could put those people to work.
But you also have, if you're
stuff.
Microsoft, you have $20+ billion a quarter you're spending on AI, CapEx, AI related infrastructure. If you're Amazon,
and $10 billion on
$30
stock
billion.
buybacks. You're not hurting for cash.
Yeah. Well, no, but just balancing.
There is a trend, though, in big tech now that these CFOs are becoming more and more powerful. You look at what Ruth Porat was doing at Google, and she was really the person deciding what lives and dies.
And I think that is a hangover of the pandemic.
She's like,
It's also part of the financialization of tech, which is I think a big problem, and it's because of the overheated venture capital market and so forth. But anyway, I don't know enough about this to know anything. I should ask somebody like Alex Wilhelm and get the straight skinny on it. Anyway, this would be a good time for us to beg for money.
Yeah, our R&D costs are also through the roof.
And we don't get half off.
We don't deduct nothing. I think it was 100% deduction, Richard. They were able to deduct it 100% in the year that it was occurred. I mean, this was all back in 2017 when they wanted to do a big tax break, that big tax bill from 2017, and Congress couldn't make it revenue neutral. So they came up with this. They said, well, all right, but we'll make it revenue neutral in 5 years. That's how they got past. They had congressional rules. They couldn't do it unless it was revenue neutral. So they said, oh, it will be in 2022. That's when this thing will be phased out. And I think I don't know.
Then the logical push would be to get developers out of North America, right?
Yes. And maybe that's what they're doing. I mean, they're firing developers, right? But they're also letting them go outside of North America too. Well, then that I don't know about. Yeah. Anyway, that's just my theory. I don't know nothing about nothing, so don't listen to me.
You want to believe there's a plan, Leo?
There has to be. They're not going to just.
I mean, yeah,
there has to be. It's got to be the CFO saying, cut costs for some reason.
Yep.
Yeah. But except these are not enough costs to cut. This seems more like keep the workforce afraid so they'll work harder. The beatings will continue until productivity increases.
God, I hope it's
I feel like this is a known bad strategy, though. That blows my mind if that's what it is.
It does. It seems really evil, to be honest.
It's just very short-sighted.
This is why we have the club, because this all started 4 years ago when COVID was raging, and we got a little nervous, frankly, about our bottom line as advertisers started to pull off, their advertising in droves. And Lisa said, we cannot live on advertising alone. So we started Club Twit as a way for you, as our listeners, to support us. And it's actually been really successful. I didn't imagine it would be this successful. I'm very pleased to say, thanks to you, Club Twit members, are covering about 25% of our operating costs with membership. That gives us a lot of cushion. We don't have to lay off people. We haven't laid off people in some time now, thanks to that. We can actually expand the number of shows we do. We're doing our best to tighten our belts. That's why we shut the studio down. That's why I'm working in my attic. But at the same time, it really is nice to know. It's in a way, it's also a vote of confidence in that way. It feels really good for us at Twit, all of us, to see so many great club members. Thank you. If you want to join the club, we try to make it a benefit to you. There's a lot of things the club members get. Of course, chiefly ad-free versions of all the shows, because I've never been one to charge people after they give us money. So you don't hear any ads. I mean, once we get your membership, $10 a month, that's it. We don't need to play any ads for you. You also get a lot of special programming, and that all happens in our Club Twit Discord. The Discord, you don't have to join the Discord, but I strongly encourage you do, because it's a great hang. There are some super smart people in there, really fun people to hang out with. It's become my primary social network. But also we do things in the club. For instance, all the keynote speeches are now club only. A month ago, we did something with Dick DeBartolo, kind of talking about the GizWiz and 20 years of GizWiz. And what does happen is after a month goes by, we release it to the public. So you can now see that on our YouTube channel. But for the first month, that's club exclusive. And we put those on the Twit Plus feed. Coming up tomorrow, actually, no, today, sorry, right after Intelligent Machines, Scott Wilkinson's Home Theater Geeks, a special club show that we do with Scott, all about AV, is going to have his Q&A, his regular Q&A special with the chat room. So if you're in the chat, if you're in the Discord, stick around for that after Intelligent Machines. I'm very excited about what we're going to do on Friday. This is fairly far afield, but that's one of the nice things. The club lets us do stuff like Micah's Crafting Corner that isn't strictly tech, but we think is fun for the club, and the response has been good. So Friday, it's going to start at noon Pacific on Friday. We're going to talk about music. And we're going to start with digital music. We interviewed a couple of weeks ago Stephen Witt about his latest book, but then I saw that he'd written a book in 2015 called How Music Got Free, which is an incredible book. The story of MP3s, piracy, the move to digital, and what it did to the music industry. It's really interesting. So he's going to join us from noon to 1 to talk about digital music. And then one of my oldest friends, Norman Maslov, who runs a YouTube channel called Mazzy's Music, is going to intervene and tell us how great vinyl is. He runs a YouTube vinyl channel. He has a massive record collection, always has. And so it'll be kind of fun to look at digital versus analog music. That's this Friday for the club. 12 p.m. it starts. It goes 12 to 2 Pacific time. Our AI user group is not the 4th of July. It's going to be July 11th, the second Friday. Well, that's where we really get hands-on, and many of our club members are doing some really amazing things with AI. I want to get Dr. Du in here. He's created an AI profiler, a local AI agent. I think it's local, maybe not, that he can ask about any person. And it builds a dossier. And he showed me the dossier it built about me, and it was amazing. It was really detailed and right on. Anyway, maybe we can get Doc. He's defending his PhD today, so he's not around. But if Dr. Du will join us on the 11th, I'll try to get him. And certainly Anthony and I will be there. We'll talk about how we're using AI. We've got our regular photography session, July 11th also. That's right before that. Photo time with Chris Marquardt. The photo assignment this month is quirky. So it'd be Chris Marquardt, and then our AI users group, Micah's Crafting Corner, is back on the 16th. That's just a sample of the kinds of things you get as a member of Club Twit. $10 a month, $120 a year. There are family plans. There are corporate plans. Please do us a favor. Subscribe, join the club. We'd love to have you as a member. It also helps us out a lot. And I think it's going forward probably the future of everything we do here. I think it's nice if we can, I always wanted to do it, have our audience support the shows, right? And put them on the air. twit.tv/clubtwit. And thanks in advance to all of you. And a special thanks. Of course, club members aren't hearing this because club members don't hear any ads. But for those who are listening on the live stream, thank you. It makes a big difference to us. On we go. We're now at the back of the book. That's the moment where we talk about tips, tricks, and booze.
Yep.
We got a good booze this week, but we'll start with Paul Thurrott and his tip of the week.
Yeah. So Microsoft made that announcement about the extended security support program, whatever it's called. $30 for the first year. If you're an individual, you can get it for free. Don't pay for this. Don't ever pay for this. Why would you pay for this? Do not pay for this. This is
use your bonus bucks.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about if you have Microsoft rewards points or not. Maybe I'll spend some time and look, see if I have it. I must have something. I don't know.
Where do you go for that? Bing.com or?
Yeah, probably. I don't know. I'm going to look it up. I don't know. I don't do anything like this. I mean, there are people who use Bing and Edge and stuff and Expo.
Oh, wow. I have 58,000.
There you go.
How'd I get? How many do I need? 100?
1,000.
1,000.
So you could get an extra year of security updates for Windows 10 across 58 computers.
There you go.
Wow. Is this what I get an Amazon gift card. I can get Candy Crush. Wow. Candy Crush is 1,500 points. It's cheaper to get the security updates than it is to get Candy Crush.
Yes. This is the point. They're trying to really slipstream this, but you know what? Here's the thing. Look, if you're using Windows 10, there's a reason. If the reason is it won't let me update to Windows 11, stop. You can do this right now. It's very easy. I've kind of tiptoed around this in the past a little bit, but I'm just kind of tired about how insistent people are about being licensing experts for individuals. There are Windows keys available online cheap. If you have something like Parallels and a Mac and you want to run Windows, $10 to $30. Who cares? What happens if they take it away, Paul? Who cares if they take it away? They're not going to, but who cares? You don't own the software anyway. What are you worried about? It doesn't matter.
It's a thing.
It's who cares? So, just don't worry about it. There are plenty of workarounds for all the blockers. Anyone can install Windows 11. Just move on. If for some reason you have to use that computer that is for some reason incompatible with Windows 11, there's a 99% chance it's going to work fine. Don't worry about it. Just don't sweat it. Just don't sweat this one. It's not a big
And
deal.
let's face it, if there's a major, significant security breach, they're going to push that patch out to everybody anyway.
Yep. I mean, if you want to be really cheap, just put it in the Insider program and just update it for the rest of your life. Who cares? You could just, eventually you'll have to install updates. But I mean, it just doesn't matter. This is the silliest thing to worry.
Or I could get a $25 Burger King.
I love how laser focused you are.
Well, now that I know I have so many points.
Where did you see? Where is this? This is at where did you
Bing.com/rewards.
There you go. Yeah.
You know what? That's because I got Game Pass, right? I mean, I haven't done anything else to earn it.
We all know you secretly Bing, Leo.
You have more points than I do. I only have 8,000 points.
There you go.
I don't understand.
What could I do with these points?
What did I do to get
points.
these points?
I don't want
God,
all
it's
these
like
points. These points make me sad.
this is bizarre.
There's a lot of stuff you can get,
Not for me. I have enough for a $5 Amazon gift card.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't convert too much.
And some change. That tells me that
they just want to
the
give
value
it away.
of the security thing is $1.
Right.
It's $1.
Right.
Like that's
Ooh,
all.
Dunkin'. Wait a minute. I can get some Dunkin'.
Oh boy.
For 32,000 points, I can get a $25 Dunkin' gift card.
An Xbox Game Pass Core membership. I don't even have enough to get
How is it that I have more points than you? I don't understand.
I don't understand either. I don't know. I don't really look at this. I don't really.
It's all that bigging you're doing.
I don't have enough to get 1 month of Game Pass Ultimate.
I must have your points. There must be there is a mistake here somewhere.
Can I gift the points? I mean, geez.
Can I give you my points?
I don't, please. I give them to someone who needs
Would you
them.
like my points?
No.
Come on, Paul.
I mean,
take my points, please.
But I don't know. I
can get a Microsoft gift card.
Yeah.
$100 gift card. Oh no, I don't have enough points for that.
I was going to say $100 gift card.
That's 100,000 points, but I could get a $50 gift card.
That's money.
Something. It's money.
You'd be better off you should just get an Amazon gift card. There's no reason to.
Congratulations, you added the audio file badge to my I haven't interacted with any of this. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you earned this in October 2019.
There you go. Into this in 2019. Jeez. This is pre-pandemic.
My lifetime points redeemed are 200. I must have redeemed them. I have 3 badges, all of them I got some sort of Clippy badge. Oh, I pay for Office. Maybe does that count?
Yeah, maybe.
I'm doing something.
The DOS badge.
I do. I have a DOS badge. You added the DOS badge. The DOS boss badge.
Know you can't find to redeem the Win 10 extended support.
Yeah.
Well, it's not here yet, right?
Yeah. Right.
But it will be at some point, right?
Where do you find? I don't even.
By the way, I think I earned more points just sitting here. Oh, I see. That's lifetime
I play Call
points.
of Duty every day. How is that not worth 10,000 points?
Yeah.
You must. This something you're getting robbed.
I go out of my way not to use this stuff. I just don't. I really don't care about this. I
use the Bing
I'm
wallpaper.
just curious. Like, where did? How do you find out where yours came from?
That's what I'd like to know. I don't think you can.
My streak count is 0.
Yeah. Today's points has a point breakdown, but so you get it. Okay, so here's you get it from Bing search, which I never use.
Right, because you're normal.
Complete daily offers, shop to earn. I have no idea.
By the way, there are people who do this semi-religiously, and I'm sure to some degree this is a low-level, credit cards point type thing.
It's like honey.
Yeah, I mean,
Rakuten.
It's fine. It's fine.
Anything to feed the data machine.
Yeah.
I must be feeding them something.
You've been feeding the data machine.
I don't even have a Windows PC, Paul. I hate to admit it.
I guess I have in previous years entered some sweepstakes to earn like a gift card or a Surface computer or something. I don't know.
Yeah, you can do that. You can take those points and enter them to earn.
Obviously,
enter them to win.
Never won anything. I mean, I did get I spent 10,000 points twice and got $10 Xbox gift cards.
Ooh, look, if I put in 100 points, I could enter a sweepstakes for $5,000.
This goes back to 2012. My first thing in here is entry for Xbox 360 prize pack and connect Star Wars.
360.
That's
all right.
crazy.
I've just bought 25 sweepstakes tickets.
100 gigabytes of OneDrive storage for 1 year. That was probably meaningful back then. This was 2014.
Now I'm using my Outlook address for this, so it'll be very interesting to see what happens.
I don't know.
Oh, I wonder when they do the drawing. I've entered to win.
Sure you didn't enter to lose?
You can't win unless you enter. I don't know.
Okay. Anyway, is that it? That's the Xbox segment?
That was my tip.
That was your tip.
The back of the book, yeah.
Who am I? What am I doing here?
Yeah.
How about an app pick, my friend?
You know of JFK, that's all I'm saying. So the app pick is Discord is being ported to a native ARM version, right? So it's not out quite yet. I think there are ways to get it now, but it will be out soon. So that's happening. And then just a couple of like rapid things. ProtonMail added integrated newsletter management. Cool. DuckDuckGo browser, haven't heard a lot on that front, has better scam protection. If you're an iPhone user, there's a new app from Adobe, which has the Mark Lavoie guy that used to be at Google Pixel.
Yes.
It's awesome. The Pixel 4 thing, when he's talking about computational photography, if you care about photography, A, look this thing up, and B, look at the app. It's really interesting.
It also makes my iPhone really hot.
Yes, exactly. Because it's hammering the neural engine
it
or
is
whatever.
working it so hard.
Yeah. This is why my Pixel's always so hot. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny that it has that same effect.
Burn that phone up.
If this thing had a fan, it would be whirring madly, you know?
Yeah.
Also on iPhone, if you use Google Fi, voicemail is moving from the Fi app into the phone app on the iPhone finally, 12 or 10 years later. So that's cool. So the only major feature missing from Google Fi on the iPhone is that network switching thing, which requires some internal hardware that like Pixels have, and I think some Samsung phones. But
so that you can use more than just T-Mobile. So
it switches back and forth between US Cellular, depending on what's better.
Yeah, I use Fi on a Pixel. I don't use it on my iPhone for that reason.
I go back and forth, but it's honestly it's fine. And then I think because of a massive password breach, which I'm sure you're going to talk about with Steve if you haven't already, Facebook is finally adding passkey support on their mobile app. So I haven't looked at this yet, but going to want to do that. I really, really, really hate the way that Facebook and the Facebook services like Instagram, WhatsApp, whatever, do like 2FA because it's kind of random from what I can tell. Like sometimes it'll just text you. Sometimes it'll be like, I'm trying
Sometimes
to
you get a CAPTCHA. Where are the bicycles? That drives me freaking
open
nuts.
WhatsApp on some phone and it's like, WhatsApp?
What?
What are you talking about?
Yes.
So like it's passkey. Thank you. Finally. So a bunch of stuff.
Passkey isn't always great, though. I was telling Steve this yesterday.
Yeah.
I have passkey on my Amazon account.
Right.
And it still asks me for a one-time password.
So I do the same in OTP. I do the same thing. So I think it's because I think at some point you set that up on your Amazon account and then later you added the passkey. So I think now that you have the passkey,
I should turn it off then.
I haven't done it either. So I sign into Amazon on so many different computers. I see this like almost every day. And
it's
every
so
day
annoying. It's like I gave you my passkey.
And
you know
like,
who
OTP.
I am.
It's like one click. Like the password manager brings the thing out. You're like, nice. And it's like,
I'm done.
OTP.
Nope. Gotta go get your phone.
I mean, it feels like, it's like 129-bit security. It's good.
It's secure enough.
Yeah.
I don't need to.
Yep. Anyway, it's something I haven't looked at
I'm looking right now to see if I can
looked.
turn that off.
So I think this every time. But the thing is, when you're signing into Amazon for some reason, you're trying to buy something, get going. You know what I mean? So I'm like,
I'm in a hurry. See, watch.
Yeah, get out of my way.
Okay, I'm going to do my passkey. Yep.
And you're like,
and
nice.
now it says,
like,
what?
No. So you should, you know what you're not seeing right there, though? Hold on one sec before what you don't see there, which I do see usually, is don't ask again on this PC. I don't know.
I don't get that.
The greatest lie button of them all.
Yes.
Well, that's curious because I see that every single time I do this.
Okay,
are you
so
in
that works. So let me see if I can turn off. Yeah, see, I have two-step on, so I should turn it off.
Yeah, but hold on. Are you using a that's his authenticator app though?
Yeah.
Is it
I don't know why. I don't know why it knew it.
Right.
All right. Change disable. Disable, right?
Boy, I'm not
Also
saying-
clear my two-step verifications.
Oh, I'm not literally not telling you to do this. I'm
That's
just
too
saying-
late. I did it.
Okay.
Sorry to see you go.
Tell us why.
I'm
This is
so
not threatening at all.
Leo, why did you close your Amazon account that you've had for 22 years?
You know, I told you they closed
Paul
my
told
Audible
me to-
account
Paul
unilaterally.
mentioned-
I got an email on June 16th said, well, sorry.
This is going to turn into Paul told me ... And I just want to be super clear. I have not done this myself because I'm kind of like, I don't know. It's not that much of a big deal, but it is weird, right? You have a passkey. Like, why doesn't it just work?
It shouldn't. Well, so I turn it off. Let's see.
just
Now
such a
I'm going to log
confidence
out.
Go into like an incognito browser or something like,
Yeah. Isn't that weird? That's so weird. I think you're right, though, that if I just turn it off, I should.
Look, again, I really feel like you should have talked to Steve about this. But
Well, I did. What I asked him is there any reason you could think of that it would want a second factor?
no, it's because you configured it. Like,
Yeah.
you did this.
So let me
then
log
you
in in
later
an
added-
incognito window.
You would think the passkey
you
would
know what?
bypass that.
It didn't even. It says you're already logged in, even though I'm incognito. So
That's.
I'll have to.
But Leo,
Let's
that's
go to a
supposed
different browser.
That's
That's what
supposed to
I'll do.
obscure all of your tracks. Isn't that how that works?
No, it apparently doesn't do that.
It doesn't do a lot, actually. But
Amazon.com, not UK. Okay, sign in. All right. Now it wants my password.
Yeah, of course it does.
that's amazing.
I don't understand.
Yeah, that's not good. That's not.
Well, I'm signed in.
Well, did you get the
No,
passkey thing? Didn't
no. Maybe I turned that off too.
Ooh.
Hey, at least I still have an account. Continue on. Shall we do Run as Radio? Let's do Run as Radio.
Still got a few. we
Oh,
can get
Paul's
past
not
this
done
one.
with his little.
No, I
You
am.
didn't
I'm
get
done.
it, yeah.
No, I'm done.
You're
I'm
done.
Okay. Run as.
Talking to my friend April Yoho, who's been a regular on the show for quite a while and works for GitHub. And we were talking a bit about helping sysadmins understand all the new features that are in GitHub and actually start to take advantage of some of the older features they've never really learned, perhaps, like branching and merging, which is, mostly focused on devs. But as PowerShell scripts and things are getting more complicated and more people are editing and utilizing them, then having a branch when you make changes and merging them back in is pretty compelling. It takes a while to learn how to do that if you do it the manual way, but if you use GitHub Copilot, it'll literally guide you through it. It's
Nice.
sort of deeply integrated into it.
Nice.
So that was an interesting idea that, here's an LLM that'll help you use the main product better. But then we also switch over to that sort of agentic conversation and the LLM will also help you write a better script in the first place, build out a test framework for it, do all that kind of validation, that kind of thing. So yeah, just a broadening of the thoughts of, hey, these tools will help you use the tool and do more with the tool. So
Very nice. Now, you promised us something last week.
I did, and I still haven't opened it. And it's got a crazy top on it.
Oh, it's the leather top.
The leather top, yeah. And we're gonna have to cut the stitches off of this to figure this out. And you're gonna
It's like
find out how much I
Frankenstein
like
bottle.
it. Yeah. So it's a first for me. I've never seen anything quite like this. But I also realized as I was digging into this, this is the first time talking about whiskey from South Africa. In fact, the first African whiskey I've talked about at all. And so we always kind of, when I did the Canadian, I talked a bit about the history of whiskey in Canada, same for Japanese and so forth. So I felt I had to do the same treatment. It was only fair, which just means a little more writing and a little more storytelling. Because I want to start with the terroir. I think the terroir is important and definitely one of the reasons why it's pretty challenging to make whiskey in a place like South Africa. First time we've talked about Africa at all. So, right off the bat, hey, we talk about Neolithic peoples and things in northern England. This is the cradle of civilization here. We've got evidence of Homo sapiens in and around South Africa for something like 100,000 years. And so many different migration events and different peoples arriving. The early people, when they talk about South Africa, are the Khoisan, where are the earliest peoples, although the Bantu, which are more contemporary, show up around 300 AD, and they also come with agriculture and a lot of practices that you would recognize there, along with things like sorghum, which came out of Central Africa and was brought down and grew just fine in South Africa as well. Of course, eventually the Europeans show up, and it was the Portuguese who got there first around the 14th century. The Dutch East India Company set up a settlement in the Western Cape in 1652, which made the British annoyed. So the British fought back, and they gained control in that area in 1795, leading to a series of conflicts that culminate in the Anglo-Boer War of 1899 to 1902. The fallout of that ultimately results in what's known as the Union of South Africa, combining the four major states of South Africa: the Cape, Natal, Transvaal, and the Orange Free State. Now we get into more contemporary stuff post-World War II, when Afrikaner nationalism sort of leads to apartheid, which we all are familiar with from the 80s and the 90s. The African National Congress had been around a long time, all the way back to 1912, where they were always focused on the fact that Black South Africans were excluded from political power. This turned violent on occasion, and in fact, one of those occasions resulted in the arrest of Nelson Mandela in 1962. Who was then held in various prisons until 1990, when de Klerk released him and began the end of apartheid, and ultimately leading to the multiracial elections of 1994. Mandela winning, of course, writing a new constitution, and we get to the current history, which, of course, has not been that simple either. It's been 30 years, and they're having all of their own struggles. Environmentally, the ecology, this is a subtropical part of the world. It stretches from the most northern parts of South Africa are about 22 degrees north. Remember that the Tropic of Capricorn is at 23.4. The Tropic of Capricorn being the line that is the southernmost angle of the sun when it's directly overhead on the December solstice. That's what measures the tropics, and anything above that tropic is considered tropical, and below it subtropical, and so forth down the line. So what this results in is a chunk of land spanning from about 22 to 35. And so in the Southwest, you have what we would consider a Mediterranean climate, and more subtropical up at the Northeast. You do have quite temperate conditions inland, mostly because they're at altitude, well over 1,500 meters in many spots along the Drakensbergs and the like. It's about a population of 63 million people. The original crop in that area, of course, was sorghum, which came a couple of thousand years ago, although wheat did eventually make its way down there. Remember, wheat was growing just fine in northern Africa in 5000 BC. That was part of what made the Egyptian Empire so massive. But getting across the equator is pretty difficult, so we don't really see wheat until the Dutch bring it in 1652. Corn was brought by the Portuguese explorers from the Americas in 1655, and barley also grown there, but not near as much. The area where I was spending most of my time in the Western Cape and around Cape Town is the big agricultural center. There's about 2.5 million farming households, although 2 million of those are subsistence farmers. So farmers where the vast majority of their food is purely for feeding the family. Not that many. The proportion of commercial farming to subsistence farming is different. This is one of the measures we use when we talk about a developing nation is how much subsistence farming there still is. And if there is farming, and there has been for thousands of years, there is alcohol. And there are plenty of domestic alcohols in South Africa. One of the originals would be Umbakwathi, which is originally a sorghum-based beer, although quickly switched over to maize as it became more prevalent. Today, you can buy commercial versions of this, which are primarily a corn-based beer, maize beer. More in the European stuff, the Whitblitz is a kind of brandy. Again, the big wine growing region in the Cape area. And so you have leftovers for making wine. You're going to make brandy. And so then plenty of that. Mampoer is another kind of brandy made from other fruits like peach and apricot, more in the north. And then most people know of a drink, if you know anything about African drink, especially South African, is amarula, which is sort of a play on a Bailey's. It's a creamy liqueur kind of chocolate, but it's made with the marula fruit. The marula fruit famously ferments on the tree, and there are great videos of elephants absolutely hammered, having chewed up the overripe amarula. So, and if you ever see a bottle of amarula, you'll see a big picture of an elephant on it, because apparently it's the thing the elephants like to get drunk on. Now, actually tracing the history of whiskey in South Africa is a little trickier, just because lots of people like to claim that they started it, and many of it is not true. So again, where do you see whiskey distilleries appear? On grain farms. And so even in those temperate regions where grains grew fairly well, so this is the area around Pretoria, there was a fellow named Alois Hugo Nabapas who built a distillery in his area. And the only reason we know about this one, because he eventually got caught and had to get a license. And in 1881, he got his license from the Transvaal government. This is before South Africa was South Africa. And he had the rights to distill liquor from corn and other sources. That distillery is called Het Eerst Cabreken, and it opened in 1883. Apparently, their product was not great, but the miners didn't care. They just wanted cheap booze. Although he eventually hired a cognac maker, a guy named Rene Sanhathigans, who came down and started improving the distillation processes, which was all well and fine until the Anglo-Boer War of 1899, which essentially shut down booze production for the most part in South Africa. Sanhathigans actually fled back to France, although he did come back after the war was over in 1903, and he was able to buy the stills from the Cabreken distillery at a bankruptcy auction, and then took those stills, moved to Stellenbosch, which is where one of the big wine growing regions in the Western Cape, bought a farm, and to this day they still make a brandy there called Santis Premier. Now, on the other side, so that's up in Pretoria. Back over in the Cape area, where there's lots of going on, there was another distillery built by Donald Robertson and Noel Buxton. This is in the 1960s, so much more current. They called it because it was Robertson and Buxton, they called it the R&B Distillery. They weren't having a lot of success either after spending 10 or so years on it, and the Stellenbosch Farmers Winery bought it up to experiment with different alcohols. They eventually started making a version of whiskey called the Three Ships. This is a very well-known whiskey, although the original product was primarily Scottish whiskey, and then they added a little bit of their own spirit to it. That was the Three Ships, because it was actually imported whiskey combining Scottish malt and their own spirit. But jump back, because if you generally look at where the first distilleries in South Africa, you talk about the quote unquote first distillery in Africa. I don't think any of this is true, but it's, the documentation you'll find that James Sedgwick, his sons opened a distillery in 1886. And then Sedgwick was a captain who worked for the British East Indies companies. He was well known for his tea clipper. He was famously one of the first to get the new season tea to the England in the clipper Undine. But he retired in Cape Town and opened an importing business for liquor and tobacco. His sons took it over in 1872, and they bought the buildings that made their distillery. It was likely already a brandy distillery. Again, all of this is sort of muddied. And they are quick to claim they were the only commercial distillery in Africa. But, you can't actually find any evidence of any bottles that they made at that time. We don't really hear about the James Sedgwick distillery making whiskey until they actually move the production of Three Ships from R&B over to them and grow the production out. They also make another well-known South African whiskey called Baines, which is actually a grain whiskey. It's made from corn, so more like a bourbon. I tried both of these while I was down there. I would call them mixer whiskeys, like they're pretty basic. And that leads us to this one. But I wanted to be complete. Can't talk about whiskey in South Africa. We're talking about Three Ships and Baines, both owned by the Sedgwick Distillery. But this is Drayman's, and this is a contemporary whiskey production. So this was made by a guy named Moritz Kallmeyer, who is a beer maker. So he started out in the 90s, and a drayman, of course, is someone who transports and delivers beer. And he started in the 90s making beer out of Pretoria region as well. Pretty common thing to do. And again, they're like 5,000 feet, 1,600 meters in Pretoria. So high altitude, it creates a temperate environment, even though they are pretty far close to the equator. And his products are very successful. They make their money off of beer. They make a series of different craft beers that people really like. One of the most popular is called Jolly Monk, which use smoked malt. They've always used two-row barley, which is very whiskey friendly. And Drayman's also got into the winery business. So they make wine as well. And they age all their wine in Bordeaux casks that they buy from France, although they age their own wine in them from new. And that combination of being a brewer and a winemaker, in 2006, it makes sense to start making whiskey because he already knows how to get good barley. He does it for his wine and he for his beer, and he buys barley malt grown in Swartland, not far from Pretoria, to classic two-row barley, although he does admit that he also imports peated malt from Scotland.
Oh, wow.
Wooden mash tuns. He only does a 2 mash run when most places do 3. Stainless steel washbacks, pretty classic stuff. He uses his own unique blend of yeasts, primarily brewer's yeast, because that's what he's got. It is a brewery after all. And that means he has a very long ferment to try and get the alcohol levels up, because brewery's yeast tends to die young at a lower alcohol level than distiller's yeast. Distiller's yeast is a bit more robust, and you can get to 8, 9, 10% before it starts to die off. Typically, they're done. Brewer's yeast is done around 7%. And then he only has a single still, so he does a double pot distillation, but he does it in the same still. So not a huge, fast production run, not a lot of capacity. But then he takes these Bordeaux casks that have already had his wine in them, does a bit of toasting on them. They're relatively small, about 225 liters. Typical would be 250, and does his aging there. And I haven't got a lot of details on their aging process, but I have seen photos of the barrels sitting horizontally in racks 3 high in what looked like very much a steel shed. So now we get into the challenge of, is it too hot? Is it too cold? Like, how's the temperature management there? Because getting it aged well is tough. I did read a good piece from about Draymond's on their barrel reprocessing, that after they run a batch through, then they shave the interior of the barrel and retoast it. And that reminded me of the Taiwanese whiskey, the Calavan whiskey, which also went through this particular shave and retoasting process. And they're also at about 33 degrees north as opposed to 33 degrees south. So they're dealing with a similar climate environment. So you've got all the steps here. And I would point out this is a 5-year-old, but it's got a lot of color in it. And that's probably because it's been aged in a red wine cask.
It's got more color than actually the website shows.
Yeah. And that might be a lighting thing here. It's just, not as bright here.
It looks like wine. It looks red.
I clipped the back of the leather off to open it up. And it looks like we have a screw top instead of
that's disappointing.
That's probably, you don't really need a cork top on it. It says right on the edge of this label. The label is the sole property of Draymond's Distillery. So is that a proof that this is the original seal still on this? Interesting. All right. And it opens just fine. So I'm not too anxious about them using a cork push top versus a screw top. It actually will ship better with a screw top because it takes more pressure.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Right.
A lot of wineries are using screw tops now.
Yeah.
It's hard to get.
Just got a lot of alcohol in the room, just like that. This is only 43%. I got a boozy nose on it. So nothing wrong with that. Just that's a freshly opened bottle, and 2 ways about it. Wow. All right. Not a lot of upfront burn. Got a little tingle on the lips, like, hello, we're here. Lots of different fruits, like a raisin, apricot, and some heat going down. Really nice. Wow. That's impressive for a 5-year-old.
It's the only single malt whiskey out of South Africa.
Yeah, they say it is, but I think what they've got is a lack of regulation down there, because every one of the different distilleries I found made claims that would normally get them in trouble in any other place.
Right.
So, wow. Okay, second drink is a little more potent. Now I'm getting flush. Like it was really actually quite sturdy.
You're turning as dark as that whiskey.
God, no kidding. Wow. Only a 43%. This is nice. You would not buy a 5-year-old Scottish whiskey. And in fact, no Scottish whiskey maker would allow a 5 to be on the label. It just wouldn't have enough. It would have no age declaration on it. And I defy you to think this is only a 5. It drinks really well. Now, admittedly, it's much more extreme there. So aging's going to happen faster. I mean, there'd be a battle here with the temperatures as to whether they'd be losing water versus alcohol on those barrels. But I also know Bordeaux barrels tend to be thicker than bourbon barrels anyway, so they're actually better at holding on to their alcohol and at holding on to their liquids in general than the bourbon casks do. And I think we talked about this last week, where most whiskey you drink these days is spent time in bourbon barrels because they're just so plentiful and inexpensive. This hasn't. This has only been aged in French oak. That's kind of special. The same way that the Macallan sherry casks are only aged in sherry barrels. So what you got here is a remarkably original yet old school style of whiskey coming out of a really small producer outside of Pretoria. And that's pretty cool. My friend William gave me this bottle as I was finishing my 2 weeks in South Africa. And he was part of the reason that I had such a good time there. And William knocked it out of the park. Like, what a great find. We went to a whiskey bar and tried a little of the Baines and a little Three Sails and, talked about those. There was no Draymans for sale because they just don't produce that much. But then he got me one of these bottles and I did not open it until you watched me open it right now. And it's a score. And at 500 South African Rand, that's about $30 US.
Wow.
If you could find one.
Yeah, that's the trick.
And I don't know, they don't produce enough to really be shipping anywhere. So if you're down there, I would grab one. And there's a question here about whether the barrels are reused. Yes, the barrels are reused. They shave and retoast them between utilizations, which is one of the things they can do with older, larger.
Their webpage actually has the most complete description of how they make it I've ever seen on any webpage for a whiskey.
While also leaving out some important details, like getting the specs on the still. Then not a lot of information there.
Yeah.
Even just figuring out that they only have one still. And
you
so
can't
they're
tell
not
from
doing
this. Yeah.
a low wines, fine wines. But that, again, you talk about lack of regulation. Why do the Scots use two stills? Because they have to use the still safe to control the flow of the alcohol so it doesn't get stolen. It's all about taxation. That's the South African rules don't have any of those requirements.
And it makes a pretty good whiskey.
Dude, this is a legit single malt.
Nice
Absolutely.
job,
Service
Moritz.
to your friends.
Wow.
And at $30 a bottle, yeah, keep it around. I think you can go wrong. Problem is you're going to have to make a trip to South Africa to get it. That's the only problem.
Is it a long flight?
It's worth it for the leather top, I think.
Yeah, but if you're down there, come home with one. And if anybody's coming up there from there, tell them to bring one.
Draymond's High Veld single malt whiskey.
Yep.
And you can spread it out over 3 months if you can't afford the $30, which is good. It's good.
I would say it sounds like somebody's got it. Some Total Wine has it. Somebody's found it.
Really?
Which is great. Yeah, if you can find it.
It's $100 a Total Wine. Thank you, Snoop Mikey.
It's
nice.
about right.
I don't get that.
Yeah, because you're already going to end up with a Baines or a Three Sails. And like I said, I think there are more mixer whiskeys. I did try some older editions, and you struggle to make an older bottle of whiskey in a place like that.
Yeah, I think the $100 is because it's so unusual and rare.
Yeah. You can charge what you want.
But it looks like I can go down to Culver City and pick one up on aisle 13 left.
There you go.
Bay 3. So it's waiting for you.
Figure 100% import charge for sure. So now it's at $60 and then they mark it up, which typically is about 100%. So somewhere in the $100 mark seems reasonable.
Yeah, not bad at all.
Yep.
Richard, thank you for a really good whiskey and for a really good show. You too, Paul. I guess you helped.
We did some stuff. Here as I can tell, this show is actually about whatever Paul wrote this week and me making fun of it, but I'm okay with that.
That's that. You're the color man. He's the play-by-play. That's all.
I mean, we would just do this on the phone for free. So it's
not that different than our regular conversations, really, no.
Richard Campbell is at runisradio.com. That's where you'll find his podcasts. It's not just Run His Radio, but .NET Rocks with Carl Franklin. And he is home for the summertime, which is nice. Good time to be home with your granddaughter and your kids. That's so good. Paul Thurrott is at home in Lower Macungie, where he can't wait to get back to Mexico, I think.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Is it really hot right now in PA?
Oh, yes.
Really hot. Yeah.
It's just miserable up for the rest of the country.
100, I think.
What? Yeah, we have a balmy 72 degrees right now in Petaluma. It's just pleasant.
It's not good.
I'm sorry for everybody else, though. It's the suffering.
No, it's only 93. I exaggerated, but
feels like 103.
Yeah, it feels like 120. But yeah.
Thurrott is at Thurrott.com. Makes sense, right? THURRO.com. Become a premium member. It's triple good. So there. If you want his books, you'll find them at leanpub.com, including the Field Guide to Windows 11. See, he upgraded, so you can too. And Windows Everywhere, a history of Windows through its development frameworks. Great to have you both. We do Windows Weekly, of course, every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, 1800 UTC. Watch live, as our club members are doing in the Discord, but you can do it in all of the various places: YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, X.com, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Kick.
Every
you
time
laughing?
we do this, I just love that you know this. It's an amazing list of obscure services, most of which I've never heard of, but it's good.
Hey, you're a star on all of those. So
No, it's good.
Take it seriously. We stream live because, it's kind of fun for, to get the chat and the two-way street and all that stuff, but you don't have to watch live by any means. You can get a copy of the show, audio or video or both, at twit.tv/WW. There's a link there to the YouTube channel that's dedicated to Windows Weekly. That's give us a thumbs up, subscribe, all the stuff the kids say, but like and subscribe, man. But the real reason it's useful is it's a great way to share clips. And the best thing you could do is to tell a friend about Windows Weekly, send them a clip of something they'd be interested in, and say, see, you could watch this every week. It helps spread the word.
And the whiskey clips.
The whiskey clips. And we make a playlist of all the whiskey. Kevin King does that. I don't think we're caught up yet, but there is already a very lengthy playlist of whiskey
new ones
tips.
keep coming in every week. I don't blame them for not.
Yeah, there's it's a lot of work. You do a lot of work on these, which we appreciate. Also, you could subscribe. That's probably the easiest thing. Get your favorite podcast application and subscribe to Windows Weekly. Again, audio or video, your choice. If you want, I would sure love it if you gave us a nice 5-star review at the same time. That way others will find the show as well. Thank you so much, everybody. We'll see you winners and you dozers again next Wednesday for Windows Weekly. Bye-bye.